Well, good morning, my beautiful coffee beans. Happy Sunday morning to all you crazy cats out there. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty channel. We have been covering the case of Miss Nancy Guthrie, 84-year-old grandmother ripped out of her bed in the middle of the night by a masked gunman. And we're trying to decide who the masked gunman is. Is it somebody that's already been raided? Somebody that's already under scrutiny? Is it somebody that we don't know? We've learned recently that Carlos, a man that has been identified by law enforcement as potentially being involved in the case, has not been cleared, is now suing the sheriff in the multi-million-dollar lawsuit. And it begs to question, why isn't Luke suing? Moreover, does the family have a path forward to also sue CHRIS NANOS, the criminal sheriff of Pima County? We're going to get into this topic of conversation on today's episode of the Bullhorn Betty Show. So welcome, come on in, sit on down, and relax.
Bullhorn Betty rocks.
And let's have a wonderful discussion. Don't forget to say hi to your coffee beans in the chat. Good morning, all.
Coffee steaming, files on the table. We clocking early, hunt what's unstable. Bullhorn Betty on the curb, voice raised. Flip-flop queen with the homemade phrase. Notebook thick, got the screenshots flag. Names in red ink, every rumor, every tag. Late night live stream, screen glow on her face. Truth in her throat, got a lawman's pace. She don't blink when the threats roll through. Come see me, she says, if you think that's cute. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that they gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we get that justice. Insane Asylum, that's our crew nickname. Laugh so loud while we track these names. Whiteboard wild with the webs we spin. Pen to pen, see the pattern sink in. Turmo shaking when the case goes cold. We stir it back up, won't do what we're told. Doorstep question, side eye stare. Where were you that night? We hanging right there. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that they gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we get that justice. This for the faces on the milk cart labels. This for the families praying at tables. This for the names that the news won't say. We say them out loud every single day. Every day. If you're running in the dark, better feel that fear. Betty got a bullhorn right in your ear. Coffee club crazy, but we think so clear. One small town, whole world gonna hear. Hey! Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that the day gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we take red justice.
Eric says, good morning, Betty and people. Well, good morning, people. I hope all the people in the chat are doing people-y things. People? Eric? Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. It's nice to see everybody this beautiful Sunday. Well, it's not quite. Well, it's beautiful. It's kind of beautiful, kind of not beautiful. It's been pretty soggy here in Florida, and I got to tell you, I have been welcoming the rain. At least we're not Washington State, under fire right now. And bless all the people that have suffered and everything like that. I'm hearing that it was arson. So all the other people around the country that are struggling with Mother Nature or things that other people do that affect your everyday life. I can't believe one person can cause such damage. At any rate, At any rate, good morning, guys. So we've been on the case of Nancy Guthrie. We've been on the case of Nancy Guthrie for some time. I've been monitoring other cases that we're also following that haven't been giving us any update. You know, we don't really have a whole lot of updates in the Tepe case. We don't have a lot of updates in the Devil's Den case. We don't have a lot of updates. I mean, Austin Drummond was just, found guilty of, a charge that stemmed from when he was previously incarcerated, but nothing with the quadruple homicide he committed. We know that there has been in Alec Murdaugh's case, Becky Hill just got a win. The case against her that was filed by Alec Murdaugh for $600,000 was dismissed. It was tossed out of court, so they can refile, but I'm not sure if they're going to. We'll see how that case breaks out. And then of course we have Lynette Hooker, which we haven't had really any updates in that case. We know that they made it back to the boat. It seems like she was murdered on the boat before 8 p.m., which was kind of coincided with some of the assessments that I had made of probabilities. And so it sounds like those were right. But so far, we still aren't any closer to getting Brian Hooker arrested. So that's kind of your rundown. Of course, Michael Monkey Vaughn, we just had a 5-year milestone. We never want to be at a 5-year milestone, but at least he is moving along a lot quicker than, say, Summer Wells. Summer Wells happened 45 days before Michael Monkey Vaughn. Michael Monkey Vaughn is getting ready for trial, although the trial is delayed for one of his abductors. It's still justice that is now going to be had, at least for Michael Monkey Vaughn, and we're still waiting for Summer Wells to have some movement in that case, some real legitimate movement of arrests, where it's been long enough. But we've got one in Idaho and one in Tennessee. And as you guys know, we do not have a lot of faith in the state of Tennessee. Tennessee, for people that live there, love the state. They love the state, and I guarantee many of them don't even deal with law enforcement in their state. And if they had to deal with the law enforcement in their state, they'll see where their shortcomings are. Law enforcement in the state of Tennessee is not the friends of the public. Okay, I'm sorry, they're just not. I'm sure there's some communities out there that have great law enforcement, but at the end of the day, the horrible work that they're doing in the state of Tennessee is affecting all of them and affecting their morale across the state, in my opinion. We've got DAs that don't know how to prosecute nobody homicides. We've got law enforcement bodies that don't know how to investigate homicides. We've got people that believe their neighbors. If something doesn't make sense, they don't really think outside the box and say, oh my gosh, my neighbor, my friend may be lying to me, right? It's just ignorance on top of ignorance on top of incompetence in many places out there in Tennessee. And the ones that aren't incompetent, or then you have the level of corruption in the bigger cities like Memphis, right, littered with corruption. Nashville, littered with corruption. So even the places that do have the crime, that do have the good law enforcement, that have at least the competence to investigate the cases, you're littered with freaking corruption. So no matter where you go in Tennessee, the people are being harmed. The people that need services are being harmed. The ones that are just living their life la-di-da and just living life, you probably don't even notice it because you're not using any of your services. But as soon as you start using your services, you realize what abysmal makeup and stuff that there is. And unfortunately, I know there's good places in Tennessee. I've got friends that live in Tennessee, close friends that live in Tennessee, some that are even on the Front Row Joe circuit. So I know that Tennessee is a nice place. I love Tennessee. I actually wanted to move when I was younger. I wanted to move to Tennessee because I could get a bigger piece of land, nicer house for the price I'm paying here in Florida, right? But after doing true crime, I mean, that was pre-true crime. That was in politics, just politics. I love the beauty of Tennessee. But now that I'm in true crime and I see the lack thereof from the state of Tennessee, and them arresting people that are sober and throwing them in jail for being under the influence of alcohol, of all things. You can smell that. And it just shows me that the level of training in Tennessee is horrid. It's horrid. A lot of the problems that are had in Tennessee we're not having in other places, but we do see some things like corruption and how those affect case by case, including something like Sumner County mimicking something out of Pima County, Arizona. And that is what we deal with because we had such incompetence and corruption in Sebastian Rogers' case that when we started getting over here into the Nancy Guthrie case, I started saying this is really starting to feel like, Sebastian Rogers 2.0. And I never realized how true those statements were until like another 30 days. And it was like, oh my gosh, I nailed this on the head. And anybody that's followed me from this Sebastian Rogers case will understand exactly what I'm saying. Maybe those that haven't, that weren't part of the Sebastian Rogers case probably don't know what I mean, but it's bad. It's bad. And so now we have people getting arrested in this case related to potentially being the suspect in the case, although not named, right? They're not named people. And so Carlos has recently filed a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against the sheriff, but Luke Daley has not. The Guthrie family have not. So it makes me wonder, are there forthcoming lawsuits? And why? Because it seems to me Luke Daley is under more scrutiny than Carlos, but Carlos is saying his life has been so altered, that he just can't even move around town without people giving him the stink eye. And I just keep wondering about Luke. Why isn't Luke jumping the gun and filing suit? It seems like Luke would be on the side like Carlos, or they would have been filing the cases around the same time. Or, maybe they had been working on it, and once Carlos' case was put in, you would think the other attorney would, now join the fight. So I started thinking about this, and I'm like, why hasn't Luke filed suit? Why no lawsuit from Luke? To me, I'm on Luke more than I am on Carlos. I've talked a hell of a lot more about Luke than I ever have about Carlos. Now, the only reference I've made about Carlos is Carlos looks a lot like this sketch from Lois Gibson that's out. Almost a spitting image of him. So, maybe that's the reason why they targeted him. Maybe they did some type of facial recognition and, he had so many characteristics of the person. Maybe it's his cousin. Maybe it's his brother. I don't know. How many family members does Carlos have? Was he adopted? I'm just asking. You never know. You never know until you ask. So anyways, you guys get the point of what we're going to be going through. So let me say hi to everybody in chat. It is a beautiful Sunday. I'm going to try to get you guys out of here before church and get you guys on your way with our updates. So good morning, Melanie. It's nice to see you. Denise, Rachel, the Aussie. It's nice to see you from across the pond. Good morning. Good morning, Lisa. It's nice to see you. Good morning, love. I hope you're doing well. The Real Me Too. Rose is up in the chat. Good morning, Sig. It's nice to see you, YouTuber. Darla, the boss up in the house. CME. It's nice to see you. I hope you are doing well this wonderful morning. Eric coming in saying, hey, morning, Betty. And the peoples, he says. He goes, and the peoples. He wants the peoples to know he has arrived. Eric has arrived. Appreciate all the beautiful people throwing those thumbs up. We want you to throw that DNA all over the button. There we go. I'm losing my stuff because I just did a live update on live chat and realized I just dropped like half the freaking chat. Just went bye-bye because I changed it. So good morning. I've missed just about everybody. We do have Jean. Thank you, BB and crew. It's nice to see you. She's saying, hey, peoples. Peoples! ACD, is that it? Billy Garcia had found Nancy's death certificate. Ooh. Yeah, but there's no way that she got a death certificate. Nah, there's some funny monkey funkin' going on over there. Monkey funkin' going on. Funkin'. I said funkin'. Get your head out of the gutters. We say flock around here. I'm just saying. Pick, it's nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. Aletha, good morning. I hope you're doing well. Lazy Days up in here. They had her declared dead on February 1st. When did they receive it? It's a hoax. It's a huge hoax. Nancy hasn't posted on social media since before her birthday. Yeah. I don't think they've got her death certificate. I think somebody that's what I'm saying. There's some funky going on. There's some funky going on over here. Don't be listening to everything you guys, they're not going to, I don't think there's going to be a death certificate. The only way, at this point, I think the only way that we're going to get a death certificate for this lady is ordered by the court because they haven't found her body. So I think the only way that we can said he found her death certificate. I mean, Bill Garcia is a private eye. So is there another Nancy Guthrie in the country? I don't know. I'm just very skeptical with all this AI crap this day and age. I mean, when we can start having Mitch McConnell, break dance in the middle of a hospital room, I think we can say that our technology has preceded our judgment. So we got to be very, very, very careful about what we consume as authentic. Is that authentic? We haven't seen it from the family. We haven't heard it from law enforcement. And if we have a death certificate all the way from February 1st, at this point, I don't know if they can get a death certificate. She's not here. So we can't hear. What? Don't touch a button, Andrea. Oh, I must have hit something. Did I hit something and we went out? Oh, I must have just got down to the muting. You guys can hear me now, right? I can hear me talking. I'll run the show with or without you. I'm just saying, okay? I can do it. Okay? I don't need no stinking audience. You guys are here just for the ride. I'm just letting you know. Hot damn, let them 66 fire, Captain. Good morning. Good morning. It's nice to see you. We can hear you now. It's when I hit my head. When I start getting all excited, I start hitting my hands on the table. It just starts gyrating my stuff. It was from earlier. Okay. Love you, Betty. Well, we love you too, Jack. We love you too. I hope so. I'm just letting you know. I'll just keep going. If you guys can hear, that's a great thing. If you can't, well, you know what? It's funny because people will sit here and try to read. We'll sit here and try to read my lips. Well, we can't hear her. Can anybody read her lips? Tell us in the chat what you think she's saying. Tell us in the chat. She's got something important to say. Did she say that? Yeah. That sounds like Betty. What else did she say? Read her lips, damn it. Put your glasses on. Get your coffee. Scroll her in. Do the little thingy where you make her face big. What is she saying? Bill Garcia has been in the neighborhood 3 times. He contacted the family 3 times. Crickets. Doing his investigation, he found this. Why would he go live and say that? I believe him. I believe he found. I don't see, but Bill Garcia has been in a couple cases, and he roused a couple cases in the wrong direction. Think about it. One of the reasons why I truly believe Melody Buzzard was still alive was because it was his reporting that put them on a back road with another lady wearing a wig. And I thought, okay, well, at least they made it to the destination. That lady wearing the wig is the one that has Melody Buzzard. And I don't even think that was legitimate stuff. So I don't know who Bill Garcia is. I know he's a private eye. I've never seen him before. And then all of a sudden he pops up in the Melody Buzzard case. And, I'm listening to him and I'm following him. And next thing we know, we got two women in a car with purple hair or wigs on, and they're adults and it's not a child. And we're in the backwoods of frickin', where are we? Utah? Colorado? I think it was Utah. I think it was in the back, I don't know. I've seen Bill Garcia and the information so far out of the 3 cases Bill Garcia has been involved with. He has not produced one piece of evidence that has been fruitful. I'm not trying to be rude to the guy or anything. Maybe there's cases I don't know that he's done that I only seen him from Melody Buzzard. That's the first time I've seen his name ever come up. Never heard of the guy before. Know what he looks like because he's been on some podcasts, especially with Melody Buzzard. But again, so far, every piece of information that we've known to come true hasn't really produced anything legitimate yet. Now, granted, in all fairness, will it? I don't know. You know, even Olivia and I, we were able to go out and produce something fruitful with our searches. You know, like even Layla Santadella, we found out where most likely she slept for the evening. You know, so we did find certain little aspects of certain things out in the woods. You know, when we hear things, we do find fruitful things because we follow the leads where the leads take us. But so far, I mean, I could be wrong. If you guys have found anything that Bill Garcia has done that's produced a result, a positive result toward any of our cases, send that to me. So I don't want to be mean to the guy. I don't know him, and I don't want to, I don't want to have a bad problem with him or anything like that. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but first of all, I'm looking at this from I understand the law, okay? And there are some nuances that I'm unfamiliar with, and so, every now and again I learn something. And I'm not an attorney by any stretch of the imagination, but I did have education in the law as to become a paralegal, to work for attorneys. And I've worked for attorneys for over a decade. I mean, granted, I haven't worked in an attorney's office in probably 15 years, but at the end of the day, I used to be a very highly recognized assistant in Manatee and Sarasota County. I've never heard of anybody being able to get a death certificate when the body is still missing without court intervention. That's the only problem I have, is how can he have a death certificate? The only person that can produce a death certificate is just a number of people. Okay, I'm not going to list them because I don't know definitively exactly who can order a death certificate, but one of those people is a medical examiner. After they examine and they calculate death, like this person died on XYZ day, or they had a heart attack at XYZ day at XYZ time. They were called at that moment, so that's their date of death. Something like this, we're never going to have a date of death until it's either produced by scientific investigation of the body, or it's produced by a court of law. Like, I know that they can go into a court of law and have their mother deemed deceased, right? For example, the Skelton brothers, right? They were finally classified as dead, right? They had been missing for years and years and years, finally classified as dead. I believe that's what needs to happen to Summer Wells, where we should be creeping up. We're almost to the 7-year mark. I want to know at what point they're planning on petitioning the court to have her classified as dead. Because once they're dead, well, then that changes everything. Once you can prove to a court that the person is gone, they're gone, they're dead, well, then that changes everything. Now you have a dead person. Now you physically have somebody. So where was the last person? This is when the case starts heating up, and you could start going after the parents, because now they've been classified as dead. Miss Nancy Guthrie hasn't had any type of, from my understanding, any type of court proceeding. So I don't know if that, and again, I'm not saying Bill didn't find a death certificate with Miss Guthrie's name on it. Was it within the official records, or did he find it online, and how did he find it? Where did he find it? That's what I'd like to know. Because if she has been classified as deceased, how do they classify her as deceased? And why do we have a sheriff still classifying her as, again, it comes down to what court approved her death certificate. We have no body. So you just don't say, oh, she hasn't been seen, okay, we're going to preemptively give her a death certificate. It doesn't work like that in America. They have to be, read up on PC the ways you have someone declared dead. How can you declare someone deceased in America after missing? Let's see here. To declare a missing person legally dead in the United States, an interested party like a family member must file a formal petition in a state probate or surrogate court. While federal rules like those for Social Security use a 7-year absence standard, specific state timeline and rules vary. So you have to file a petition, meet time requirements, prove diligent search, provide circumstantial evidence, and obtain a court decree. Again, there is no other possibility of getting a death certificate other than court intervention, folks. I mean, this is something that I used to do wills, trust, estates, bankruptcies. My first law, the worst kind of law you can get into. Like when I went to school to be a paralegal, you know, I'm thinking I want to be, you know, one of those criminal paralegals, you know, with all the juicy stuff and the investigating and, you know, the Columbo, you know, and that's what I was kind of envisioning, because that's how I was raised. I was raised on Perry Mason and Columbo and, you know, Andy Griffith and just all these different things, you know, and the whole court stuff, you know, and that's kind of what, and then I go into wills, trust, estates, bankruptcies. Oh my gosh, I have to sit there for hours with people trying to fill out their paperwork for bankruptcy. Oh, good gracious, they were crying. It was horrible. It was awful. And I got to tell you, that was my first experience in the law, and it's like, man, I don't like this at all. It was awful. But one thing I did learn that was kind of beat into me is you're not getting death certificates. You just don't get death certificates like candy. I mean, you've got to go to the courts and prove these things, especially when it comes to adults, because adults have the right to leave and move around this country freely without letting a damn person know what they're doing or where they're going. They don't even have to answer. If they choose to talk to law enforcement, that's a choice they choose to make. But they don't even have to do that. They can tell a law enforcement officer, get bent. I don't know who you're talking about. Get off my property. Don't come around here no more. And they can't come around there no more unless they have probable cause to come around there. Otherwise, they can be charged with harassment. 7 years, I thought it was 5. No, it's always been, I have always known the 7 years, federal 7 years. And even in the state code of Tennessee, it's 7. It states 7 years. So yeah, that's a federal, but each state has that defined individually, but there's no way for them to get a birth certificate for Miss Guthrie without a court being involved. So if Bill Garcia has a death certificate, I mean, be skeptical about it. I understand people don't know these things because they're not educated in these things. Only people that are educated in the law understand these nuances. So a doctor, for example, highly, you know, real smart guy, right? Probably doesn't understand this because he's not in the field. So very smart guy just doesn't understand this because he wasn't educated. This happens to be an area I'm educated in, okay? I'm not a scholar in it. I'm not an attorney in it, okay? I didn't go for additional certifications or anything like that. I'm the lowest man on the totem pole in the law, in field of law, right? But I still understand it. I still have an education of it. I still worked in that field and studied that field before I ever went into law. I had to go to school and I had to learn how to draft pleadings and how to research law and what Shepherd's Law is and what indexing a case for trial is, and all these different things that we had to learn in school before I ever made it out there into a law firm or a law office. Just some stuff. So anything Bill Garcia, and I didn't mean to take us on this long tangent, but it seemed like a lot of you guys watched something where Bill Garcia is showing you a death certificate. There's no death certificate for this lady. I will stake this channel on there. There is no legitimate death certificate for this lady. Okay? So if somebody's telling you that, just understand there's no way they could have a death certificate without a court hearing. And they have to prove, and they're not going to get one this soon. You understand that, right? To do a proceeding like this, you've got to allow serious time to lapse to prove the person is deceased, especially an adult. So the family is not going to be backdooring this and hurrying up and going and having a secret private court hearing to get a death certificate of their mother. It doesn't work that way. Okay, there's nothing in our code that allows her to do that, or allows anybody in the state of Arizona to do that. So go look up Luke's brother, Zach. That's not his brother. That's somebody that worked for a business. Compared to Lois's drawing, it's spot on. Zach is not his brother. Zach is somebody that was part of the business. He used to work at the place where Luke ended up purchasing his Range Rover. He wasn't even in the country at the time. I know Zach. We covered Zach very, very well. Don't get sucked into Zach. Zach's in a different country. Zach's been in a different country. He's been in the country of Jordan. He's Jordanian, and he's been in the country of Jordan since like 2019. He's not even in this country, and wasn't even in this country at the time Miss Nancy Guthrie disappeared. Now, does he have ties to the area? Yes, he does. Does he have friends and family? Yes, he does. Is it his family that runs that auto dealership? I believe it's his best friend or a family member of him that runs that auto dealership. But yeah, we went over that, Weather Junkie, but don't get sucked into that, because that's recirculated information. Zach is not, there's no way Zach could be a part of this. Now, let me put a caveat on that. He couldn't have physically been a part of this. Now, could he have known about something? Could this have been a network type of thing of somebody? We don't know what we're dealing with here. So a lot of things are on the table when it comes to Miss Nancy Guthrie. I'm starting to believe that this is a burglary gone wrong. I believe it's somebody local. I don't believe this lady was targeted because of her famous daughter. I just believe, was she targeted? Yes. Was this home targeted? Yes. Was the defining factor because of who her daughter was? I don't think it was. I think we got starstruck in this case, and we knew it had to have something to do with the famous daughter. And I think everybody rushed to that judgment, never once slowing down to say maybe this doesn't. We slowed down. We said, whoa, this is going too fast. There may be some other explanations here. And I'm glad we did that, because that was a good judgment call, right? We don't know sometimes when we get in these cases what are good judgment calls and what are not good judgment calls. In this case, we've had a lot of good judgment calls. Say Melody Buzzard's case, which we were just talking about, referencing Bill Garcia. We did not do well in that case, okay? We face planted as horribly and as magnificently as you can publicly face plant on a case. That would be the case we publicly face planted on. And you know, you got to own those, and you've got to keep those at the front of mind. I never want to forget about that massive face plant, because I want to learn from it, right? I never want to have that happen again, because we took a lot of resources away from searching for a little girl because we thought she was okay, and she was not. She was in peril. She was in jeopardy. And so we've got to learn from that. We can't hide that and put that in a back corner somewhere and act like it didn't happen. We've got to make sure that it is front and center every day, so we know that we made a huge mistake, and why did we make that mistake, and make sure we never make it again. That's how we change our channel. That's how we make sure we are accountable to our channel and to our people, is always constantly reminding us the times we do make mistakes, and we do make some magnificent mistakes. We're human. But we want to make sure we don't make those again, right? It's all about learning and growth. And so I think we have learning and growth. When it comes to Mr. Luke Daley has had some run-ins with the law. I did have an opportunity to really sit down and look at his history and just digest it a little bit. And I gotta tell you, you know, for this guy, yeah, he seems like he's got some problems, and he seems like he's on drugs and might even be a dealer, but the one thing that was lacking from his history was a lot of violence. I didn't see a whole host of violence in his history, which, you know, does go to a positive, right? We always talk about, when it comes to Luke Daley, all the things that go against him and why we look at this. And I told you guys yesterday, in my gut, I feel like he's the wrong guy. I really do. But he's kind of fitting into this peg, you know, into this hole, right? And but there's still a piece of me that's saying we got the wrong guy. But then I keep looking at it, and it's like, okay, now we have the hands, now we have, the vehicle. He wouldn't have been in the Range Rover that evening. He would have been in another vehicle, and that vehicle within days would have been turned over because he got a new vehicle. So it's like, we're looking at this, and it's like everything really, really is boding against Luke Daley. But the one thing that I can tell you that is kind of in his corner is I don't see this litany of criminal, violent crimes in his past. Now, he does have some type of burglary, some type of, I can't remember what type of charge it is, but something on in that realm of charges. So could he have gone in this house? Yes, he could have. Would he most likely been a violent intruder? No, he shouldn't have been, because his history doesn't show this violence in his history. But just because it doesn't show it doesn't mean that's not who he is, especially if he's a dealer. If he's a dealer, well, the people that he perpetrates violence on are not going to be quick to call 911. So there could be that angle. But again, that is subjective, and it's an assumption. It's not something that we have proof. It's not a receipt. It's not a factual statement. It's assumption. Could he have been violent in the past? The answer is, of course he could have been. Of course he could have been. But we don't know. So let's go ahead and get back to our show that we had before we kind of got kiltered off. This is going to be quite long. We've already spent 30-something minutes. But I'm glad you guys told me about Bill Garcia. I wanted to clear that up for you guys, because if you guys don't tell me some of the news that you guys are telling us behind the scenes, then we're not going to be able to correct that if you guys truly believe it. I mean, if it's true, it's true, right? But if it's not true, then we want to make sure that you guys are very clear on that. There's no way anybody, if we could get death certificates just like that, we'd have death certificates in Summer Wells' case. We would have death certificates in other cases that we would be covering. We would be pushing for death certificates in those cases. But it's very difficult. You got to really prove that this person is gone. That they're not going to be giving you death certificates without an evidentiary hearing. So there's no way that we could have missed this. I mean, this will be something that would be breaking news on every imaginable site. I think if we heard that the family is moving for a death certificate, it would break the internet. It would literally break the internet right now, right? Because they know their mom's dead, and this would be a direct, stab at CHRIS NANOS himself if they're now approaching the courts to say that their mother is deceased because the sheriff refuses to properly classify the case. That would be but we're also going to get into whether or not Savannah Guthrie and family have a right to sue the sheriff. I think there's going to be multi-million-dollar lawsuits coming in over this case, not even just from the journalists that were violated, their civil rights violated. I feel like my civil rights were violated because I was prevented from coming into the community to begin with under fear of arrest for covering the Nancy Guthrie case. I feel like I have a claim here. And I think just about every single other agent and journalist has the same claim. I think Brian Enton has the same claim. I think everybody has the same claim. I think we should file a class action suit. I think there's more than 100 people affected by the civil rights violations of CHRIS NANOS, and I think it should be a civil rights class action. I think the UCLA should get involved, but majority of us are white. Not to be disrespectful to the ACLU. Yes, I am trying to be disrespectful to the ACLU. Who am I fooling? Yes, I am trying to be disrespectful because I'm getting sick and tired of this shit. So this is going to be quite long, but I think it's very important because this is what we didn't do with the Sharp interview. We still haven't finished the Sharp interview. We got to go back to it, and we're going to do that tomorrow. We're going to be listening to that entire interview. I don't care if it takes us 4 hours to get through it. We're going to get through it. We need to hear all of these interviews thoroughly. This is an interview we didn't hear thoroughly, and we needed to hear it thoroughly. And it's a 26-minute interview. It's a full interview of what CHRIS NANOS is saying is going on in this case, and we have missed it and have not watched it in its totality. So we're going to watch it. We're going to watch it here today. So good morning, guys. If you are just coming in, I see we have 242 people in the chat. I just want to say thank you all for being here, by the way, on this beautiful Sunday morning. If you don't mind hitting the thumbs up button in the chat, I'd greatly appreciate it. And again, we're just trying to break down this case of Miss Nancy Guthrie. Miss Nancy Guthrie has been missing for over 6 months. Everybody under the sun has been bullied by the criminal sheriff of Pima County, CHRIS NANOS. And we fought very hard to get him to lose his job. He's still going to keep his job. And I think it is a direct result of the poor leadership out there in the community. I also want to say, if you are from Pima County, Arizona, please do me a favor and do yourself a favor. Do your neighbors a favor. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm just going to tell you that the leadership you currently have needs to be changed. The whole gamut. It's time to fire who you have in charge right now. Your only focus, and this is what I tell people, if you were getting these things in the mail, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are getting all these things in the mail. The best advice I can give you is to take these with you to the ballot box. And these are the people you do not want to vote for. I repeat, you do not want to vote for any of these people. If you are getting these in your mail, these are the establishment. These are the special interest people, because normal grassroots individuals, they can't afford these. Okay? They can't afford it. This lady here, I don't know what the hell President Trump was doing endorsing this lady. This lady is slap evil. Okay? This lady is slap evil. Sidney Gruters, the Gruters need to step down out of the GOP. What they've done to the GOP, they've completely attacked. Why Trump is actually endorsing these people when they've attacked us here in the state of Florida and fired us because we were supporting of him, our Florida GOP. All these people here from the Florida GOP, these people right here don't deserve our vote. And if you're in any other county, country, sometimes, yes, even in the United States, it feels like a third world country. You're getting these. I weighed these this morning. This was, believe it or not, this is the only person that came to my door. And I'm mad at him. But out of all the people, you know what? He's going to get my vote. I was going to withhold my vote from him and just not vote for a governor. And I've got to be the woman that I am. I said, you know what? The people that come to your door and knock on your door should get your vote versus the people that want to mail you crap to get your vote, right? Somebody that you can actually speak to about your issues. And I'm mad at him because he took developer money, Antichrist money, okay? These people here, if you are in this country and you're going to the ballot box, take these with you. If you see these people on the ballots, don't vote for them. You know why? Because it's these people that are ruining our country on both sides of the aisles. These people, they do not work for us. They work for special interests. They work for lobbyist money. They work for PACs. They work for everybody while they come out here and manipulate us and tell us, I'm here for you. I'm from the government. I'm here to help you. Okay? Anybody that's sending you this shit in the mail, fire them. Fire them. If they don't have the ground support to send somebody to your house, they don't deserve your vote. Okay? They don't deserve your vote. I was going on the not Byron stuff, but in the end, no other governor has come knocking on my door. So, just saying, I wasn't here. I wasn't here. But you know what? This wasn't in the mail. This was on my door. This was on my door. So I'm if you guys want it, they're in the pockets of those people. So you know what? We're all going up to the ballot box. We're all from different sides of the aisle. If you don't want this crap right here going on in your community, take my advice. Anybody sending you this garbage in the mail, these are not your friends. These are definitely not the people you want to hire. I've looked through every single one of these. Every single person that sent these are on my do not vote for list. Every one. Before I ever even got these. You know, not one person that I'm voting for has sent me any mailer. You know why? Because they're grassroots. Their campaigns didn't get all this PAC and developer money for them to run. So they don't have money for this. They don't have money for this. You know what they have money for? They have money for volunteers to go knock on doors. That's why I'm a door knocker. That's why I'm adamant about door knocking. If you get this shit in your mail, take those mailers, and those are the people you do not want to vote for. They're telling you exactly who's in the pocket of the rich people. This right here costs thousands of dollars to send out to you. Okay? Nobody can afford this crap unless they've got some real backing. Anyways, I'm off my soapbox. We're in early voting in Manatee County, if you can't tell. All right, so CHRIS Nanos, let's listen to what he has to say. Let's listen to the lies. The pathological liar of Pima County needs to let us have and listen to. Now, again, this was previously. He's already given himself a self-interview to correct any mistakes that he's made, okay? I know, I want to use this one. But this one, there we go. That's much better because that's how I feel. Like the whole, okay.
Anything new or earth-shattering, I think everybody knows we've got a lot of evidence in front of us that is every single day being worked on, analyzed, and not just by our investigators and the FBI, who, by the way, still meet every day. They're signed, my team of investigators are signed to the FBI. It's the Guthrie Task Force, if you will.
Okay, so we have a group. Remember, it was like, at one time, it was like 25 individuals. Then it went down to like 12 or 15 individuals. Now it's a handful of individuals. So the team, the task force has dwindled. Okay, they're not telling you it's dwindled, but I'm telling you, I reported that they do it. I throw them away. I was throwing them away until this year. I wanted to weigh them. I've kept every single one that I've received because I wanted to use this as an example for the next meeting we go to, the next county meeting we go to. I wanted to use these as an example, and I'm teaching people about these. I'm teaching, I feel like this is a great opportunity to teach because I got so many people around the country on this platform. And even though we talk about true crime, it gives me an opportunity to, advocate a little bit, and teach people. And I love that. I don't want to overtake our channel with politics, in a political environment right now, but I want to teach people that, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, those people are not your friends. Okay, because we're never going to change the makeup of these communities. So Democrat-ran communities are going to be Democrat-ran communities. So we have to be able to work and reach across the aisle in these communities. And at the end of the day, they're getting hosed just like we're getting hosed. So if we can all have a standard, and the standard is big money has no place in politics. Okay. And if we all, as a society, stand up on our respected sides, Democrats on their side said, you know what, we're sick of big money being in our campaigns. Us Republicans on this side say we're sick of, big money being in these campaigns, because big money doesn't do anything for any of us little people. Let's be honest, right? It gets rich people richer. So we need to go grassroots. We need to go to people that understand where we're coming from. And we want to hire those people to be in office. Why? Because they know where we're coming from. They think like us. I would rather have 20 dumbasses that think like me in office than 20 smart people that are completely on a different planet than me. No? Am I wrong about that? I'd rather a lot of people, understanding where I'm coming from. Anyways, this is a politician. His name is CHRIS Nanos. And he's an asshole. Just saying. And he's got something to say. Mama Bear. They're a swinging. Swinging to the left, swinging to the right. Never mind. Swinging until they're out of sight. No, Stop. Okay, let's get back. Guys, let's get back to work, okay? You guys are taking this channel to like the gutter this morning. It's Sunday. Shame on all of you with all those dirty heads and brains and thoughts.
Every day they're meeting and briefing, discussing different things in the case. But I think as far as where the case is, we have crime labs from all around the country working together on looking at the DNA we have, and that continues. And it's important to know that these labs work well together in terms of They understand that there's rules of science that they have to follow, that those are guardrails to not just the integrity of this case, but any future cases that utilize DNA. So those safeguards are in place, and we talk.
I want to remind everybody, because I think it's important. I think it's super, super, super important. I agree. Common sense is better than book sense any day. Yes, exactly. I just paid $1 and found Maricopa birth death certificate. Hold on. For Nancy Long Guthrie. So maybe there is records are not accurate. Or maybe there's another Nancy Long Guthrie. Because there is no way that they can say she is deceased at this point without court intervention. They have no body. So I don't know. This is very, but isn't there another person? Nancy, let's see. Nancy Long Guthrie death certificate. No, it's not. There is no death certificate for Nancy Guthrie because her body has not been found. So if there's any type of record, and Maricopa, I just want to remind you, Maricopa is not her county of record. She's not going to be able to get a death certificate out of Maricopa. She would only be able to get a death certificate out of Pima County. Or the state of Arizona. But Maricopa, I mean, I guess if they had, the state, what is it? What is our vital statistics? The state vital statistics, I guess it doesn't really matter what county you're in for state vital statistics. But if she's living in, so that tells me that there's another Nancy Long Guthrie that lives in Maricopa. I mean, think about it. She's not the only Guthrie in this world. There's a lot of Guthries that are unrelated and unfamiliar with this family. So Nancy Guthrie, Nancy is a very common name. And Long as a maiden name is a very common name from back then as well. So having a Nancy Long, multiple Nancy Longs, I can see that. I don't think that Miss Guthrie, Savannah's mom, is the only Long in the world, Nancy Long. So I think that, and I don't think she's the only Nancy Guthrie. So, and I don't think she's the only Nancy Long Guthrie. So this is in Maricopa. She's not from Maricopa. She's never lived in Maricopa. She's got 50 years in Pima County. So they're not going to be able to file death certificates in different counties other than the ones that she's in. So just to put that into perspective, yeah, there might be a death certificate with this name on it, but I don't think there's no way it has anything to do with her. It's in a different county altogether. The filing would be in Pima County. She's got Maricopa has no jurisdiction whatsoever in this case at all. Zero. None. So I don't know. Very interesting. But let's get back to the interview with CHRIS NANOS.
To those people daily, they, more importantly, are talking with other labs around the country. So I think you have some of the brightest, biggest minds, brightest people.
How is he getting the Social Security? The Social Security? I don't know. Listen, I'm just telling you the way the law reads. I don't care what he's got in he can show you. It's inaccurate. It's not correct. She does not have a death certificate. I don't know what to tell you. There's no possibility. There's no lawful possibility of her having a death certificate anywhere in the state of Arizona for her specifically. Now, if somebody went and did it, that worked for a county or something and did it unlawfully, I don't have an earthly idea. Okay, I have no earthly idea what's going on. I'm telling you that there is no possibility of her getting a death certificate with her body missing. There's some things, yes, it's Nancy Guthrie of Mariposa. It's a registry. So it's a different person is what I'm saying. I mean, I'm not saying that these things don't exist. They're just not this Nancy. So people are getting, and I don't care about the Social Security number or anything. There's no possibility. I'm telling you, there's lawfully and legally, there is no possibility of this lady having a death certificate. Okay? In the condition that we're in this case, there is zero possibility of this Nancy Guthrie having a death certificate in the way the case is right now. That I know 100% a fact, without a doubt. Zero possibilities. Zero possibilities. Now, if somebody has preemptively done it behind the scenes, it's not lawful or legal. If it's directed at Miss Guthrie. I'm just saying, I don't care what Bill Garcia says. I know for a fact, without a doubt, that this is the law. And I've just confirmed it just earlier. So there are multiple Nancys. There are multiple Nancy Guthries. Let's ask and find out how many Nancy Guthries are there in this world, or in the U.S. How many Nancy Guthries live in the USA? There's no exact public amount. Can you guess? Can you guess? Based on public directory, realistic guess is there are about 150 to 180 people named Nancy Guthrie living in the United States. They break them down. How about Arizona? Okay, there are about 2 to 4 people named Nancy Guthrie living in the United States, or living in the state of Arizona. So we have about 2 to 4 people, because it is relatively rare combination for specific state. Public attention is heavily concentrated on Nancy Ellen Guthrie, an 84-year-old. Oh, there it is. Nancy Ellen, not Nancy Long. She goes by Nancy Ellen Guthrie, 84-year-old Tucson resident, mother of Today co-host. So she would die either Nancy Ellen Long or Nancy Ellen Guthrie, not Nancy Long Guthrie. So if the death certificate has the Long name on it, then it probably isn't her. Search records and has her birthday and last seen day. Searching public records has her birthday and last seen date. Thank you. Yeah. I'm not trying to spread around misinformation, but I don't know who all is coming in here saying all this, but I've never seen your names before, so I just want to make sure, or some of your names. I did see some of you guys talking about Garcia, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything, but we do legitimate stuff. We don't do hocus pocus stuff over here, and just because somebody is a PI doesn't mean they're a good PI. You guys know I've went toe-to-toe with multiple internet PIs on these platforms before. Several of them lost their channels on these platforms before because of when we expose them, they decide to get nasty and start doing stupid shit, which loses them their channels. But at the end of the day, we've had multiple, and I don't know who this guy is. I've never met him. I've never spoken to him. I've got nothing against him. And I'm not coming out saying he is a bad PI. I'm just saying that I don't know him. I'm not familiar with his work, but I know how the law works when it comes to death certificates. That is something I'm absolutely fluent with. Again, one of my first jobs out of paralegal school was wills, trust, estates, and bankruptcy, probates. Dead people. I understand this fluently because it's one of the very first jobs I ever had. You always remember the first and the last, not necessarily all the stuff in between. So it's not a death certificate. So I don't really care what anybody's telling you. I'm telling you honestly, I've got no bone in this. I've got no reason to lie to you. There's no possibility of Miss Nancy Guthrie, Savannah's mother, having a death certificate at this juncture. None. Zero. So anybody passing around that information doesn't understand what they're talking about, doesn't understand what they are reading, if it really is associated with her. And I would like to review the document in its entirety if they're still passing around that this is a legitimate death certificate for this woman. As soon as I see it, I can probably explain why it's not for her, or it's inaccurate, or it's not a death certificate at all. Okay, so I don't know, I'm going off of what people are saying in the chat. I haven't spoken to Mr. Garcia. I haven't seen the document in which he's referring. So I just want to make sure that it takes hocus pocus stuff to crack cases. It does, but it has to be legitimate. Okay, Sam, it has to be legitimate. We're not going to be passing around death certificates on somebody. This is where we here in the true crime get bad names, because people start passing around misinformation at a massive level. And then when people like me that are responsible and say, hey, you're wrong, people want to beat me up and say, no, you are wrong, until they're found out wrong. And then they never want to come back to this show again because they're embarrassed for being wrong and being told they were wrong and coming out to find out that they were wrong. I'm not trying to have a pissing contest with you, I promise you. But I'm also trying to make sure you guys understand the law and how the law works, so you're not manipulated by other people. Wicked crap. I was breaking chops on wicked crap. I'm just saying. Damn it. I'm saying, not playing. But anyways, getting back to this, I just want to make sure, because it seems like a lot of people, Garcia never said he saw the death certificate. Okay, so Trainwreck saying he never saw the death certificate. Okay. Yeah, because I don't want to beat him up, because I don't know, when you have people coming in the chat, I mean, I've been around the block enough to know that when people come in the chat and start saying stuff, the stuff that they're saying is, I mean, they believe what they're saying is accurate, but when you go and listen to it, it changes for me than what they heard, But I do understand how death certificates work very, very well in this country. So this is something that I will say I will take an expert position on. I know for a fact she has no death certificate. And I would bet my platform on it, because I'm that confident. Okay. So don't be manipulated by some of the stuff you're hearing out there. If you do have questions, come here. We'll look at it, but I'm telling you, this is something I absolutely 100% know there's no possibility of happening. So she doesn't have a death certificate. If she does, it would be Nancy Ellen, not Nancy Long. So just a little tidbit of info.
Looking at all of this and working together collaboratively to try to solve this case, to get us some leads as to who may have done this. That's a piece, but just as some of the forensic data for all of the video evidence we have, which is really 10,000 plus pieces of video, that takes a lot of work. And
you've had 6 months. Okay, I understand he's saying, oh, he's being all ginger and stuff. Oh, this is what I was going to say. I said this last night. If you were here in last night's show, you would remember. Does anybody know what CHRIS Nanos got a scholarship for to go to college? Do you know what kind of college he went to? Anybody? We played this game last night and somebody remembered. Trainwreck, you're not allowed to answer. You're not allowed to answer. Anybody know? If you were here last night, you should remember what he went to school for. It's My Art Studio would have participated in the debate. They started arguing after a month. Acting. Ding, 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 ding. Drama, acting. Yes, he went to drama and acting school, folks. CHRIS Nanos got a scholarship for drama. He got a drama acting scholarship. And he went to a school for acting. Very interesting. How has this pathological liar been able to convincingly lie to us all these years, 40 years? Well, he's a professional actor. So professional, he got a scholarship in acting. Interesting. And went to an acting school. Interesting. Just interesting.
And I know that people wonder, well, what do you do with all this evidence? And, right now, we tell everybody, I think Nancy said it the other day, we really believe someone out there knows something. Somebody knows where she is. And we need that person to call us. But in the same sense,
I went to JR Circus.
All these tips, all of these
wouldn't have made it.
Bits of information, evidence, and we store it, we analyze it, we put it, everything we get is taken extremely serious. And looked at hard.
And yes, Lazy Days, you're right. She can be declared dead, but this is too soon. No judge, there's no courts that are going to entertain that she's deceased at this juncture. None. Not unless there's like massive evidence that law enforcement is just truly looking past like a massive amount of blood sitting in the middle of the floor, and they are just saying, oh, this had nothing to do with her disappearance, right? And it's tested, okay, well, it's her blood. Well, this is so much blood, there's no way that a person could survive this. Something like that, then yeah, they could probably move a lot quicker in a court system, but there's not a court that's going to entertain. This is way premature for a declaration of death in the court's eyes, not in our eyes. I'm not saying this for us. I would love for people to move a lot quicker because we could start moving a lot of these cases along much sooner, much sooner than other cases if we can get declaration of death in some of these cases that are, they were able to hide, like Summer Wells. They were able to hide her so well that 5 years, almost 6 years later, we still know we're closer to finding her. And if we can have her being declared dead like today, then we can start moving the criminal case right along. But the criminal case is held up because there's no declaration of death in the case.
It's not just dismissed. Because I get a tip that says, hey, there's somebody that looks like this guy, we look at all of that, do all of that, and we set it aside if there's not enough to go in and question the individual or do more with it. We don't say it's at a dead end. What we say is catalog it, compartmentalize it, because later on in this case, we may find out that, hey, that person or that individual comes back to us, and we go, I remember this tip. So
that's where I talk about putting people up on the shelf. He's talking about compartmentalizing it. I say putting them up on the shelf. They're up there on the shelf like a little stuffed animal. And when something starts dinging, like the swollen hand, the swollen right hand of Luke Daley, then I went up there on the shelf and grabbed Luke Daley and brought him back here. And now we've been having conversations about him since I brought him off the shelf, dusted him off, and here he is, bright and early, on another thumbnail on the Bullhorn Betty channel.
Could be a red car was seen in the neighborhood, and we've got video of red cars all through that neighborhood. But maybe later on we make an arrest and we find out that that individual owns a red car. It gives us something to go back on and look. And the same goes for all of the tips as well as video evidence and DNA. All of that is where we're at in this case. It's not a standstill. Every day they are working. The ransom notes, trying to track those down and deal with that. I think people should take note that we do take those very serious. And if you're a knucklehead like this individual in California who just got sentenced, we're going to come after you. If we get any kind of information, we find out that you were trying to take advantage of a tragedy like this, you're going to be charged with that too. So don't do that. But yes, we do know if you're out there, you know something, don't dismiss it. Call us.
I think a big question that people have today, do you feel that you're any closer today to finding Nancy than you were 6 months ago?
Absolutely. I think every day we get closer. And that's only because of, it's not just a detective team, FBI agents, hard work and their abilities to get things done, but you also have labs with some of the brightest minds, as I said earlier, that are working on this case. You have corporations that out of the blue call and say, hey, can we help you in this regard? Or maybe we could do something with this. When you have that many individuals and that much horsepower behind a case like this, yeah, it gives me great hope that we will get there. And that every day, those investigators, those labs are working with each other, talking to each other. I get briefings, sometimes daily, sometimes weekly, but every day that team that is working hard on this case continues to work it.
You mentioned you're still encouraging people to reach out if they think they saw or know anything, even though it was way back then. Do you have a ballpark on how many leads your department is actively pursuing right now?
You know, I would tell you this, and no, I don't have the exact numbers because those leads change every day. It ebbs and flows. You know, something may spark something, and we get a lot of calls on. But typically, when we first, any investigation is this way. You open it up and you say, "Hey, we need your help," and the public calls us, and we're grateful, with thousands of leads. In this case, it was literally thousands of leads. But at some point in time, those callers have reported everything they have, and so that diminishes. The number of call-ins kind of diminish. But something else can kick it, and next thing you know, the next weekend, you're getting inundated again. So that's just typical pattern for an investigation. Particularly one like this that's this high profile, we're constantly out in front of the media telling them, hey, we know you know something. Maybe
We're constantly out in front of the media telling them, well, we know this person has been hiding for months. I think we went like 2 months without nothing from him. And then it's like, then he comes out and shames everybody for thinking that the Guthrie family might have some involvement in it. And again, we didn't take that position, but I know there was a lot of people in my chat that were very concerned about Tommaso and Annie and their involvement with their mother, because their mom's missing. They don't know these people from Adam. So everybody is on, skeptical in our mind. So this man looks like a crook. He is a crook. He's a freaking drama queen, literally.
Maybe it's your brother. Maybe it's your sister or your uncle or your best friend or your worst enemy. But somebody out there knows something and has said something. Don't dismiss that. Somebody out there knows something. We need that knowledge. We need you to call us.
So you are still getting new tips, new people calling
Absolutely.
Would you say that's daily?
I think so. I personally get almost daily text messages from around the world. And I think somebody commented about, from Ireland. Well, we don't dismiss anybody's tip.
From Ireland? Somebody from Ireland? Oh, good gracious. Our Ireland people calling in some tips. Good for you. So he says he's not dismissing them either.
I don't care where you're from. We take it.
I believe she's
police
dead.
officers, and we look at it, we evaluate it, and we work it.
I want to make sure everybody knows. I believe Miss Guthrie is dead. Yeah, I mean, one of my very first theories was she was a hit, that somebody went in there and executed her, and the blood trail is basically her dying as they're dragging her out of the house. As cavalier as that sounds, me saying it like that, but that's, I mean, in all fairness, that is my very first lead. My second lead was developed with the thought of maybe this person being a singular individual, but my first assessment was the multiple people, and somebody being in the front, somebody being in the back, something like that. Even though I didn't think, it just seemed like this did make sense. So in that aspect, I believe it was a hit. And then we're hearing in the most recent media news release that there were multiple days that they've got this guy on camera that shows him preparing for the night of the 1st. So this is not, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about whether or not this was a premeditated attack. It absolutely was premeditated. So what would have those premeditations? Would it be a burglary? I mean, some difficult burglaries might take some level of planning. So we could have a burglary. We could have a planning and burglary, getting ready to get into the home. I still believe on January 11th, he got into that home because his build was much different. What he brought with him was much different on the 1st than the 11th. He brought a toolbox. That looks like burglary tools to me. So I believe like the botched investigation, but botched burglary was on the 11th. But I've walked that back a little bit because the statement that was released by this guy just recently on the 31st, it tells us that that may have been a preparation date which has been very, very interesting to me. Like, why are you preparing 3 weeks ahead? You know, if you go and bust locks 3 weeks ahead, within 3 weeks, that homeowner may notice those locks are busted and have them replaced, making all your work fruitless. So I've never heard of anybody going and preparing a property 3 weeks before they go in. But, you know, again, this case has defied every logical explanation known to man as far as what type of crime this is. So we're kind of still stupid when it comes to it. We don't know.
To what we believe needs to be done with that tip. I don't care where you're from. If you believe you know something, call us.
I know you've commented on this before. I want to know if anything has changed.
Oh, Everything Ranch. Don't you know Captain Avio? Yes, he is an expert just on about everything. That's what makes Captain Avio such a Captain Avio. Just don't be getting into the little spats. Okay? Cool the spurs. Cool the spurs.
Do you still believe that she's alive?
You know, I get that question quite a bit, and this week especially. And what I tell people is simply this. What my opinion in that regard really doesn't matter.
I have to be honest with you. If I do have a back and forth, like people fighting and disagreeing, I would so much rather you guys fighting like Everything Ranch and Captain Avio, right? They're keeping their debate clean. Like, even when they're doing insults, it's like, come back, try again tomorrow, weirdo. I mean, he's not calling him a jerk off or an a-hole or, you know, some other word that could be used. Not that I agree with the language. I'm just saying that if we were going to be, I wish everybody would fight this nicely in our chat. That's all I'm saying. We get some like you know, cutthroat, like mean, just awful, you know, people, you know, fighting in chat, and it's like, whoa, like, what are you guys doing? I love confrontation. It just feels right. We're so bad. We're so bad. The Wall Street Journal reported about the blood is a lie told. FGS LE Radio says protect the blood. The RP is the one with the narrative, a medical issue, a kidnapping. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Mother Flocker or Mother Flocker, there you go. But I'm just saying, like, if we're gonna be getting into like the, you know, I mean, we've seen some people go at it in the chat, and it's like I just feel like we're changing. Like, I don't know, when I see people arguing so nicely in the chat, it makes me feel like I'm accomplishing some good out there in the world, making you guys be nice, you know, not nice to each other, but just a little more respectful. Just, I feel like we should give ourselves a hand. I think we're changing people, the way people treat each other. One mother flocker at a time. One mother flocker at a time. I'm just saying. I don't really mean to ban him. He's good quality. Sonia is blessed. We got another Sonia. Sonia, why are you on your Sonia is blessed? What'd you do? Did we ban you? Did we ban Sonia, or she just accidentally signed into the wrong account? I don't know. You lost your badge there, Sonia. What's going on? You can't whack a troll in your current account. Free
Because
ranch.
I look at it. Maybe I'm just the ultimate optimist, but I see no value in telling the family or others that she's not with us anymore.
This is the one! Ding, 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 ding! This was the one I wanted to find yesterday, guys. Remember that? Because he was up there on the first. Let's go back to it. I got it up here. Look at that. Let me find out where he says medication. Let's find the medication comment. CHRIS Nanos manipulating the public. We found it. Okay. Let's listen.
Has some physical challenges, is in need of medication. Medication that if she doesn't have in 24 hours, it could be fatal.
Just saying.
When I have no evidence to prove that, I have nothing. Granted, should we find a burial spot or somebody come in with remains? Absolutely. You would be the first we'd call them.
Wow! So according to this sheriff, according to this idiot right here, in his mind, there is no such thing as a nobody homicide, based on this statement right here, because for him, you have to have a burial. You have to have remains. In order for him, this criminal sheriff, to realize somebody is dead, it can't be because it just is, right? She was ripped out of her bed. She's on a pacemaker. She needs to have medication to survive. If she doesn't have medication in 24 to 48 hours, she will be dead. She will be dead. And you're telling me that, oh, now 6 months later, well, I don't have any proof she's dead. Well, you're the one that said that she could die. I mean, it wasn't Bullhorn Betty that went before everybody and the frickin' mother saying, oh my God, this lady's going to die if she doesn't have her medication in 24 hours. Sir, that was you. That was you that put this urgency and this truth out. We're just following you. According to the family, this lady cannot survive. Can she or can she not survive without her medication? Yes or no? The answer is no, she cannot survive without her medication. The next question CHRIS Nanos needs to answer is whether or not she has her medication. Oh, that's right. He's already answered that question. Does she have her medication with her? No, she does not. So what does 1 + 1 equal? It equals 2. So if we have a lady that's going to die without her medication and add that to she doesn't have her medication, what does that equal? What does that equal?
Has some physical challenges, is in need of medication. Medication that if she doesn't have in 24 hours, it could be fatal.
Okay. Now that we know, and I just want to let you know, this was February 2nd. Okay, this was the information right after this lady, after the family argued with his department, telling them that their mom didn't wander off from the home, that there is a crime here, something happened to their mother. And he's like, oh, that's right. We've got a crime scene, folks. Don't worry. We did realize that it was a crime scene. But you know what the problem is? We didn't believe it at the time, so we didn't do a really good forensic investigation. And we left all the evidence on the outside of the door because my great detective that I want to use finding my family, of course they're the best of the best, decided not to do their job the best of the best in this case. I don't know why. Maybe because they just didn't believe that the blood on the outside of the door had anything to do with the missing old lady. But you know what? This is still the best team for the case. As they tank the case. Don't.
Media. Hey, this is what we've got. After the family, of course. But if the family still believes that there's
probably because the family gave her permission.
Chance, why should I dash her that? Why shouldn't I believe it?
I think it's because the family gave them permission. You got your HIPAA rights, but your family, like in a case like this, somebody else in the family has power of attorney rights over her, so anybody can waive those on their behalf. And when you're missing and it can help locate you, they have a right to break that. There's certain things of breaking that they will be able to get away with, but law enforcement really isn't held to the restrictions of HIPAA like medical providers are. So if a family member tells him that their person might be schizophrenic, he's got no duty to withhold that from the public. He's not required. He's not a medical professional. He's not required. He's not He's exempt under HIPAA. Only certain people are required to keep your stuff confidential under HIPAA. So he's not, law enforcement is not classified or even, I don't even think they're defined in HIPAA, in the HIPAA laws at all. So he's not, you got to understand, HIPAA is for you and your medical provider, okay? So if you tell your medical history to a friend, there's no HIPAA there. If you tell your medical stuff to a third party like a sheriff, there's no HIPAA requirements there. Whether or not they're a government entity or not, it doesn't say all government entities have to protect your medical privacy. Only your physicians, only your practitioners. So if you voluntarily give that information to a third party, they don't have any duty to that HIPAA. That's why we all laughed when Chris Proudfoot was constantly saying HIPAA, HIPAA, HIPAA. You know, it's like, you clearly don't understand what HIPAA is or how it works. But no, not everybody is under HIPAA. Only medical professionals that you talk your private information to. Again, if you volunteer that information out to somebody, a third party, they're not prevented from disclosing that to anybody that they want to. A heart condition, to be alive, I would have to be a doctor or someone with the same condition as myself. All this evidence. Yeah, he doesn't even talk about all this evidence, but when he talks about all this evidence, but still considers Miss Guthrie alive when everybody, the public as well as her family, are classifying her as deceased. And we know that because we're watching how Savannah speaks to the public. So the only person that's playing this stupid game of alive is CHRIS NANOS, and it's because he's a stubborn mule. That's why. He's a stubborn mule. He wants you to prove to him that this lady's dead. He wants to see a body because he's ignorant as shit.
Any hope, any chance, why should I dash that? Why shouldn't I believe it? There's just
because you're an incompetent fool.
It doesn't impact the investigation anymore.
Because you're an incompetent fool.
We meet with these detectives pretty regularly, and they come in and brief me. It's not a briefing where I'm imparting. And
I'm just going to tell detectives and FBI agents, if you are advising this man that this woman is still alive, you guys are a bunch of idiots as well. Okay? And if you guys are this stupid, I don't want you on the case. This lady, the whole world knows this lady is dead. Except law enforcement? You guys are becoming a laughingstock. This is getting ridiculous.
There's great knowledge of mine to solve this case. That's not what my role is.
It's frustrating.
I look at these young men and women and go, one, I think if you could be in that room, you would be just as impressed as I am at, wow, these guys really know their stuff. These are young men and women who are way ahead of me in the game of technology that they know.
Everybody's ahead of you in the game.
And I just kind of go in there and listen.
Let me just be very clear, CHRIS NANOS, if you're watching, which you seem like a narcissistic person that would probably watch to find out what people are saying about you, because you remind me of so many narcissistic psychopaths that I know. But I digress. I'm not calling you a narcissistic psychopath yet. But I digress. But this is idiot. This is just stupid. This is just stupid at this point. This is just stupid.
It's not a briefing where I'm imparting this great knowledge of mine to solve this case. That's not.
Trust me, we know that. I don't know. He makes me so angry. This man makes me so angry. He literally unnerves me. Like I'm glad the United States of America has laws, and I'm glad I have self-control. I'm glad we have laws, and I'm glad Betty has self-control, because if there was no laws and Betty had no self-control, even if there were laws, well,
what my role is. I look at these young men and women and go, one, I think if you could be in that room, you would be just as impressed as I am at.
How many people are impressed at anything? If you have been impressed with one iota of this investigation, please throw your hand in the chat. That pisses me off, him saying that. I'm sorry. Let me woo-saw something. But are you freaking kidding me? Who has been impressed at all since this investigation? I have been impressed with zero of this investigation. I have been ill impressed with Pima County. I have been ill impressed with their crime scene investigation unit, and I have been ill impressed with the local FBI out there. I will tell you, I am not impressed. There hasn't been one single thing in this case that I have been impressed with since the beginning of this case. Not one. Not one. The only thing that will impress me at this point with this case is when this Yahoo turns this case over to the FBI fully and wholly. That will be the only time I'm impressed with somebody doing the right thing in this case. But until that moment happens, there has been nothing that has impressed me in this case so far. Nothing. Nothing. Actually, I want to poll this. Ones and twos. Who has been impressed with this case? If you are absolutely impressed with the bang-up job that this man and his leadership have done, put a beautiful 1 in the chat. If you like CHRIS Nanos, put a beautiful 1 in the chat. If you are not impressed, put a 2 in the chat. I'm ready to poll. Ones and twos. Ones, yay, you love the man. Twos, no. No, don't. Right? No. Twos are no's. Ones are yes. We love this man, yes. We love this man, no. Two's a no. One's a yes. Impression. Are you guys impressed? Everybody's saying I'm not impressed at all. I'm not impressed at all either. I'm not impressed one iota. Not impressed. Everybody's saying not impressed. Not impressed. Not impressed. Back over here to the live chat. I think I like the live chat a little bit better. You guys are a little more live. Not impressed.
Wow. These guys really know their stuff. These are young men and women who are way ahead of me in the game of technology that they know.
Everybody's ahead of you, bro.
And the way it works. And I just kind of go in there and listen and watch. And what I'm really looking for is their level of enthusiasm. Are they defeated? Do they have those shrunken shoulders? And
Thank you, Lisa.
Not at all. They are so charged up and so pumped up. And I'm very proud of them. They're a good team that's working just so hard. That gives me all the hope in the world that we will find her.
I know that you said that your opinion on that, is not necessarily relevant, but you're saying that it also doesn't change the investigation, searching for a missing person versus searching for a body, or how does that impact it?
Well, no, because, we have search and rescue missions all the time, and sometimes they turn into a deceased individual, a recovery effort, so those kinds of issues occur. I mean, we understand that. Operationally, it may make a difference, but I'm not the one doing the investigation. I'm not in the middle. I have to allow my team.
So it's your team? Is he trying to say his team believes that this lady is alive? That it's his team that's making these decisions? I think not. If his team are making these types of decisions, if I find out that this David Stivers is still on this case as a lead investigator, well, no wonder where we're at. When you put a lead on a homicide investigation that was just written up for bungling another homicide investigation, well, you're just asking for a bungled investigation. The man should be fired. I'm not here to save jobs. This is law enforcement, okay? If you ain't got what it takes to do the job, or you somehow think that blood on the outside of a house has nothing to do with a missing person, that you really truly thought that that was a completely different episode. You have no business. You do not have what it takes to be a law enforcement officer. I'm sorry. Not a detective, maybe a beat cop, maybe a street cop, maybe a, uniform patrol guy, whatever. Maybe you need to go back to get some more education or some more training, whatever the case may be. And if the law enforcement department wants to do that, then do it. But what you can't do is assign this Yahoo to any more freaking homicide cases. And I guarantee this idiot right here is still assigning this guy to homicide cases. And major crime cases. When this guy doesn't know the first thing about evidence or putting 1 and 2 together. I'm angry with this case because these are the people we trust to know what the hell they're doing. And every time this man opens his mouth, We know they have no earthly idea what the hell they're doing.
Who's very talented, very skilled, and allow them to come to whatever conclusions they come to based on not a feeling, not my gut, not what the sheriff thinks or what the media or commentary, all the white noise. No, we hear that. We know it exists, but we sit there and let the facts that are in front of us determine.
Yeah, the facts like her being elderly, her not having medication, her being ripped out of her bed, her doctor, her family, and everybody else saying she would not be able to survive this, but the infinite wisdom of all these detectives saying that this lady's alive and giving everybody the hope when we've already buried her in our mind. But that's the kind of pedigree we've got working this case, according to him. According to him. I'm pretty sure he's the one saying, well, we got nothing here to show that she's dead. We've got no common sense. We've got no way to take the statements of the doctor and apply them so we can change this over to a no-body homicide case. Still waiting for that classification, waiting for this idiot of a sheriff, this criminal sheriff of Pima County, to finally turn this over to a no-body homicide case. Still waiting for that day. Still waiting for that day. And according to CHRIS NANOS, until he sees a body or remains, he's not going to change it at all. So I guess we have no body homicides anymore in Arizona, according to CHRIS NANOS, because everybody that's deceased or that needs to be classified as deceased, well, we need to have a body or a shallow grave in order to classify them as dead, according to Chris, the idiot criminal of Pima County Sheriff's Department.
Which way we take this case. And that's not just this case. That's just police work 101. That's how we handle.
That is not police work 101. Don't know what he's talking about.
Any crime.
So let's talk about your team. How much time and effort is this case still demanding from the department? And do you think that's sustainable long term?
Yes. What we're doing now. So originally.
Does CHRIS NANOS, does he have a prescription for marijuana? Oh wow. This thing just shot up. I guess it had been holding my oh my. We got a lot of stuff just rolling through the chat right now. That was crazy. I guess it held up the chat for a while, and then all of a sudden the chat is just going cray-cray. Just started shooting up on me back here. Do you think they replaced the mat? I don't know. It took a long time for them to do a damn thing with that mat. Like that mat, I gotta tell you, I don't know. He looks like Mr. Cranky. It's nice to see you, love. I hope you're not cranky this morning. You should be Mr. Love instead of Mr. Cranky. I'm just saying. No need to be cranky. It's Sunday. It's love day. Everybody's a great day. Everybody's a great day. Thomas, nice to see you guys. Thanks for coming in. Let's get back to this. Let's do it again.
Day one, those resources scaled, right? The media scale went from, we typically send out media releases to, I don't know, maybe a dozen media outlets in the area. That next day, there were 400 and some of them.
407 media. I'm on their media list. They still send me, like when they release this media request, I got this media request. I got the media request.
Same with us.
Rocco
all of the tips.
Rocco says, "Don't be taking it away from me. I'm Mr. Love."
We needed more resources. FBI's plugged in day one. Other thing, that's something that came up too. Was when was the FBI plugged in? Well, I know that day one, when we were sent out there, before I was ever on scene, and I think.
Oh, so your officers decided to sideline the FBI. So was it the same Santos? Was it him that chose to do that? Is it the same one that decided to demote everybody that supported your opponent? Is it that same guy? That corrupted lieutenant or whatever he is? Santos? Who's Santos? Santos, so I think the Bullhorn Betty channel needs to meet with you. I think we need to chat with you about what your priorities are with the Pima County Sheriff's Department. Where are you wanting to go in this department? Because I would love to tank your career. When you start hurting people for your boss, well, you get my attention.
I got there 7 o'clock at night. Before we even knew who, that it was the Guthrie
Blue, it's
home. We just
bogus.
knew we had an 84-year-old woman missing, and the evidence at the scene.
We spent 30 minutes earlier this morning on this topic about the death certificate. Guys, there is no death certificate for Miss Nancy Guthrie. Whatever he found is not for her, okay? It is not for her. I don't know where he got it, but we hear it's from Maricopa County. Miss Guthrie has never lived in Maricopa County. She's only been in Pima County. That would be the issuing county for her death certificate. No other county would be authorized, and the only way you can get a death certificate at this juncture in the investigation is by court order. That is it. So anybody that says that there's a death, there's no possibility of it being hers. I just want to be very clear on that. I know that there's a lot of misinformation going around there, and you can believe what you want. I can promise you that we tell the truth over here on this show. I'm not in for the clicks and the views. We're glad that people are here to watch, but I do not need a lie for a click or a view. I think it's disgusting to do that. And I say that emphatically because I think there's a lot of people on these platforms that run their channel inappropriately, but it's not for me, right? I can only do what I can do for my channel. There is no death certificate for this lady. I don't know how for me to be clearer than that on this show. There is no death certificate. If there was something for me to talk about that was probative, I would talk about it. A death certificate would definitely be breaking news for this show. I would absolutely run that story if it was a true story. It's not a true story. We're not running that on our show. So I appreciate what Bill Garcia is doing, but he did. If he did find it, he did find it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't belong to this Nancy Guthrie. So I don't know how to be any more clear on that than I can be. With the condition of this case, that means that she's not here. We do not have a body for Miss Guthrie. They're not going to preemptively just give her a death certificate. At this point, because there is no body, the only way the family is going to be able to get a death certificate at this juncture is court intervention. They have to petition the court for this death certificate. And there is a process there. And I can tell you, they would never be able to do it at this juncture. They will never be able to do it at this juncture because it's too premature. That's the way the courts would look at this case. It's too premature to establish she's deceased. So they're going to have to wait some time before they ever get that establishment. Could it be a year or 2 years? It could be a lot sooner, but it's not going to be 6 months. Okay? And I'm not disputing that there is a death certificate out there, with her name on it. It's just not hers. I don't know how to be any more clear about that than I can be. So please just be careful, because if you are going in people's spreading around this death certificate, you're spreading around inaccurate information. And you can look it up. Do your own research. If you don't believe what I'm saying, do your own research. It's easy to, with the Chat GPT, with even Google Gemini, with whatever you want. You can look up the information yourself to determine it and understand it for yourself. I don't want to, have a peeing contest with you about who's right and who's wrong. I'm just simply saying that you can believe what you want to believe. I'm just letting you know that it's not her death certificate. So, whatever you want to believe is what you want to believe, but it's not her death certificate. So I wanted to be clear on that.
Indicated some violence and thought, this isn't somebody who just walked away. So our criminal investigation team is called in. They're immediately called in. And that investigation team, the sergeant sits there and assesses what he's got, and he knows that he has access to anyone involved in our criminal investigations division, to include the FBI Violence Task Force. The FBI Violence Task Force, it's not just this kind of case. We could have a rape, we could have a homicide, we could have a...
It doesn't matter. We know. We've done this, okay? We've got a new shirt coming out. It's going to be CHRIS Nanos' face on it, and he's no longer CHRIS Nanos. We call him Puddin', okay? If you're new to my channel, we call CHRIS Nanos Puddin', okay? Puddin, okay? Because I always say the proof is in the pudding, so proof meet pudding, okay? Every time this man opens his mouth, we end up proving something is inaccurate, okay? And whenever he sits there and tells us that this fight between the FBI was not legitimate, we go back to the beginning of this case and we look at this case and we say, okay, well, why did they have to shut down the investigation or shut down the house a second time when they came back in with the crime scene tape on the on February 4th or 5th? I can't remember which day it was. I think it was the 4th. Why did they have to come back on the 4th for the FBI to go back in it if they were on the ground and helping on day 1? That is the proof in the pudding, right? We now know that CHRIS Nanos is lying. He's pudding, okay? CHRIS Nanos is pudding. Yeah, pudding brain too. Yeah, sweet Caroline, dun, dun, dun. Yes, pudding brain. But this is pudding. So we don't call CHRIS Nanos, I call him either the criminal sheriff or we call him pudding. So if you guys hear me talking about pudding, you know who I'm talking about, okay? Because every time we turn around and we are able to prove that CHRIS Nanos is lying, we can even have more pudding. So remember how at the beginning of this case, and I know that this is going to be very familiar, you guys are going to get it just like this. Remember about how people were saying the FBI was coming into people's houses and searching, and CHRIS Nanos says, there's no FBI's going around door to door. We have no FBI. Remember that? There's pudding again. There's no FBI's walking around knocking on doors, and they were. Why? Why were they knocking doors? Because he had sidelined them, and their boss told them, get your ass out there and do your job. If they don't want to work with us, fine. Then don't let them work with us. But we're getting out there and doing our job. Go knock them doors. We have authority here. There's a kidnapping. There's a ransom note. We have jurisdiction in this limited capacity. Go knock those doors. So they went there, and then we had the Pima County Sheriff saying, we need to go and investigate this house. Remember, Brian Enton was reporting the news about how screwed up this was, because come to find out, Pima County's going over to this person's house to dust their house for prints because somebody impersonating an FBI was in their house looking around, and they wanted to find it. And guess what they found out? Folks? Guess what? It was actually FBI in that house, and they did not know it. Why? Because they were not working with the FBI. Again, truth, meat pudding, okay? Meat pudding. So I'm sick and tired of hearing CHRIS Nanos speak about with the FBI. Because he keeps trying to tell us it wasn't happening, but I can show you example after example after example at the initial of this case that goes back to them not playing nice with the FBI, including the fact that they had to shut down the crime scene a second time just to let the FBI in. We all watched it. And they were sending a frickin' CSI team to somebody's house because of an FBI agent, a fake FBI agent, conducting an investigation in somebody's home to turn around to find out it truly was the FBI. And let's not forget, let's get some more pudding for pudding, right? Remember when everybody was saying that, oh, you got people going around to the gun shops? Remember that? And he's like, I don't have anybody going around to the gun shops. Found out it was the who? Oh, the FBI was going around to the gun shops. Okay, so if the FBI and Pima County were working together and not butting heads, would these type of communication issues be had in the beginning of this case? Of course not. Why? Because the proof, meat pudding. This man is a liar, pants on fire, and I can show you every way of Sunday that the FBI is being truthful on this front. Now, are they being truthful on every front? I don't necessarily believe they are, but at the end of the day, Kash Patel and the FBI are being truthful on at least this front. And how do we know? Because again, truth, meat pudding. Okay.
Shooting. We use them all the time because that's what they're there for. They have resources that we do. So day one, before I was on, their task force came out along with our detectives, and they worked that case together. That's day one. I don't make those decisions. I don't sit there and say, call the FBI or not call. Those investigators do it. And why does it occur that way? One,
So is his investigators causing him all of these problems? Is it not him, but it's his investigators like Santos? His right-hand man that likes to, violate people's rights like a henchman, a lynchman for CHRIS NANOS? Is that who's been doing all this, creating this toxic environment between the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff? Maybe it's time to fire some of those friends there, CHRIS NANOS, Mr. Puddin, Sheriff Puddin.
because they've shown a level of success. We could go back to 2024.
I don't know.
25.
Good question.
Even the 6 months of this year.
Good question.
Our homicide clearance rate is 100%.
Bullshit!
I mean, that's pretty spectacular for...
What? Come on. 100%. We've got Grady Judd. Don't even put yourself up next to Grady Judd. Did I just hear him say that? Oh, good gracious. I can't deal with all these lies. I feel like I'm dealing with a 2-year-old child. Can somebody please spank this child's bottom and give him a pacifier and put him in the corner, damn it? I'm just saying. What the hell? 100% clearance rate? Cut it out. Cut it out. I'm about to. I just need to get the shock out of my body first. 100% clearance rate. Grady, you got some competition. You got some competition from a criminal sheriff. Grady Judd, America's sheriff. You're being outsmarted by a criminal.
Along with our detectives, and they work that case together. That's day one. I don't make those decisions. I don't sit there and say, call the FBI or not call. Those investigators do it. And why does it occur that way? One, because they've shown a level of success.
Shown a level. I just want to remind you, this is on the back of just finding out that Sergeant Stivers was just written up for bungling evidence in another homicide case where they had to drop the charges against the murderer. And CHRIS NANOS is saying they have 100% success rate. I just want you to just gnaw on that a little. Let it roll around the mouth a little bit. Yeah, it almost like I want it to taste like one of those sour sour gummy worms, but maybe the sour ball. But even at the sour ball, it gets down to the good part of it. There's no good part of this sour ball. There's no good part of this sour ball. Did I tell you about pathological lying? Did I tell you about the pathological liar that CHRIS NANOS is? Did I tell you what he got his scholarship in? Anybody know what he got his scholarship in? Yeah, Barbara. Yep. We got an acting degree here. He got a scholarship in drama. He was a drama star. He was an actor. Folks, he didn't get a scholarship to law enforcement. He got a scholarship to be on Broadway. He was a Broadway major. How did he become a sheriff? Well, he was acting all the way to the bank. Or, to the... we hear, that some politicians sleep their way to the top, and I happen to be noticing, he happens to have a plate, I keep wondering if that plate, I should stop, it's Sunday. Betty, how dare you? Believe me? Did I say that? Did I say that? Got a plate. All right, well, let's get on with it.
You know, we could go back to 2024, 25, even the, 6 months of this year. Our homicide clearance rate is 100%.
Homicide.
That's pretty spectacular for
Homicide clearing rate, 100%. 100%. 100%, folks. 100%. His homicide clearing rate is 100%. I just keep wondering, did he add that homicide that his sergeant just bungled, where they had to drop the charges against the murderer? Is he still classifying that as a win? As part of the 100% clearance rate? He's got a 100% clearance rate? We're going to fact check this. Let's fact check this. Does Pima County Sheriff's Department have a 100%? Oops. Where's my percent? I can't see. Do I need my glasses? Oh, there it is. 5. 100% homicide clearance rate. Am I spelling everything right? I can't see. No, Pima County Sheriff's Department does not have a 100% homicide clearance rate. Like most major law enforcement agency, their clearance rate fluctuates year to year and sits below 100%, with ongoing and older unsolved homicide cases remaining on their records. So what is their clearance rate? So it says Pima County Sheriff's Department achieved a 100% homicide clearance rate for its 2024 reported cases, solving all 12 homicides. Are you telling me there was only 12 homicides in Pima County in 2024? Wait a minute. I feel like somebody's fluffing the numbers. How many homicides were in Pima County in 2024? Pima County recorded 69 criminal homicide victims, excluding officer-involved shootings, as of late December, representing a 33 So all their numbers are different. So they're telling us that they had 69 homicides through December 2024. Yet they had a homicide clearance, 100% homicide clearance rate for 12 homicides. I just want you to understand they are monkeying these metrics up. Somebody's fluffing these numbers. Let me guess the majority of these homicide criminals were white. That seems to be the other trend going on, is that everybody's white in this country. So when they commit homicides, everybody is classified as white. Any violent crimes, everybody's classified as white. Why are they doing that? Why would they monkey with our numbers, our metrics? So now we know that they're lying here. They're saying Pima County Sheriff achieved a 100% homicide clearance rate in 2024, solving all 12 homicides handled by the agency that year. Yet we come over here and we find out that Pima County had 69 homicide victims. So the math ain't mathin'. We had 69 homicides, so they only solved 12. I want to put that into perspective for you. Somebody's monkeying with the numbers. Somebody is monkeying with the numbers. See how easy it is to manipulate the residents and the public? Did you guys just see that? And these are reports that they're passing around as positive in this community. And people are listening to this. Oh my gosh, we have a 100% solve rate. And they're hearing, oh my gosh, we only had 12 homicides? It's like, wait a minute, I thought we heard about more homicides than 12, didn't we? And then you go and check, but who's going to check? They're going to hear the headline, and they're going to be passing around. Did you hear our county has a 100% homicide rate clearance? And then all of a sudden in 2026, the beginning of 2026, we have what's his face, and he wasn't even written up. He was written 2 months before this. Think about this. This man here is telling us they have a 100% homicide clearance rate in 2024. In 2024, which again, this is 2026, not 2024 and not 2025. But according to the notes here, they're saying that they had 100 in 2024, not anything recently. Just 2024, and we're finding out that that's not true, because in 2024 we had 69 homicide victims and only 12 solved cases, right? 12 right here, 12 solved cases handled by the agency. So we know that their numbers aren't accurate. Their numbers are fluffed for whatever. They manipulate their numbers to achieve the data that they want to manipulate to their public. So you guys got to see this right here. For the first time, you guys see how they fluff numbers and how they manipulate the public. And guess who helps them? Look at this. The government. The government helps them. Arizona Department of Public Safety. Over here, this is coming from Pima County Attorney's Office. So one's coming from Arizona, the state of Arizona, and one's coming directly from the Pima County State Attorney's Office. Interesting that the state's clearance, this right here says this, that Arizona Department of Public Safety, so the state is being told that they have a 100% clearance rate, but the local attorney, the Pima County Attorney's Office, Attorney's Office, the Pima County Attorney's Office is saying, wait a minute, we had 69. A decrease from 104 homicides in 2021. Now they're solving 12. So we had 104 homicides in 2021. We had 69 by 2023, and they're solving 12. And they're calling themselves 100% clearance rate. Okay, you guys got to see it with your own eyes.
An agency of our size, some 1,500 employees that services over 1 million people, has a square mileage of 9,200 square miles. That's pretty significant, and for me to disregard that would be silly. I look at them and go, these guys are very good.
Because you manipulate numbers, and I just proved it to my audience how you guys manipulate your numbers. So let's cut the shit, CHRIS Nanos.
Very competent what they do. Let them do their work, and I'll get them what they need. What is it you need? That's all I did that night. And
just what you need. I don't even need a job. I just go around asking them what they need. I could have sent my secretary out there to do that.
What, a day and a half later, we had a press conference, and who's on the stage with the sheriff? Not just the FBI agent in charge here in Tucson, but the FBI agent in charge of all of Arizona, right there. So I don't.
Yeah, 2 days later. And he had a piss poor look on his face when CHRIS Nanos opened his mouth and said, I'm not used to people holding me accountable to my words. What an idiot.
You know, the sheriff is pushing back against Director Patel. That's clickbait journalism. That's not what's happened.
Sure sounds like it's what's happened. And actually, you're not pushing back on Kash Patel. Kash Patel is pushing back on you, sir. Big difference. Big difference.
What I said was, Director Patel has a big job. I have a big job. He has a lot of people reporting to him just as I do. And sometimes information just...
And remember, CHRIS Nanos, he only asked them, what do you need from me? Let me take my top plate out. Let me get those knee pads.
It's filtered. Not by anything nefarious. It just gets to me, it's filtered, and it's not always accurate. So
nefarious? Did he just say nefarious? Oh my gosh, I do not like to laugh at people's the way they speak, because people always tease me because I speak, sometimes I say things different. Tomato, right? Nefarious? 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 Okay.
Speculate that may have been what happened for the director. But clearly we didn't block them, we didn't keep them out of there, we delayed calling them. That is so silly.
I don't believe they delayed calling them. I think they followed the procedures exactly the way they were. It's just when they all got there on the ground ready to work, they're like, oh, we got it. We don't need your help. you do this, and they were doing grunt work. They were assigned to grunt work, and their people said, nope, we ain't doing this. Get out there and start hitting the pavement. And that's what they did, and this man didn't even know it. So, yeah. Truth, meat pudding.
So you're saying that you believe you're chalking it up to miscommunication, specifically about one of the critics.
Miscommunication, days of miscommunication. Actually, there was miscommunication for the first 2 weeks of this case. Again, it comes back to the FBI going into somebody's house and them not knowing the FBI was there, and then the FBI going into, all the gun shops and him not knowing the FBI was doing the gun shops. This is definitely, without a doubt, an entire team of people that didn't want to work with an entire team of people. That I've never seen this before. We've never seen this kind of chaos in a case before. So don't tell me that they're working friendly with these people. They may be now, but it's a day late and $1 short. You already fouled up this lady's case. Now you guys are all trying to show face and save this case from ruins, and I think that the damage is done. The damage is done. They are literally waiting for something to come back in the forensics, but they did such piss poor forensics, God knows what they're planning on doing. Hey, Real ICU, it's nice to see you, love bug. I hope you're doing well.
With your department was this 4-day delay, this number of 4 days until they were called in. You're saying that's not true, and that you believe that...
I don't believe they were called in 4 days. I believe they were there. They were just sidelined. They weren't assigned anything to do. They were just there.
Miscommunication of why that's being...
Well, that's that's my guess. You'd have to ask Director Patel. But what I would tell you is, I think we had 2, but in the 4th day we had already had 2 press conferences, which your office, I'm sure, attended. And you probably have video of it somewhere that shows.
I can show you pudding. The first one only had his stupid, idiotic Dave Stivers that had fouled up the cases. There he is, right there. There he is. The only person on the frickin' stage with him. There it is, right there. There is no FBI in this. This is February 2nd. Not one FBI agent observed, not one. Truth, meat pudding. Truth, meat pudding. Chris needs to quit freaking lying to everybody because he's being caught. He's being caught over and over and over again with all the statements that he keeps lying about. This is a bad cop running this investigation. And he lies through his teeth over and over and over and over and over again. This man right here is the one that was just written up 2 months for bungling evidence in another case where the murderer, all the charges were dropped against the murderer because of this man right here. And this Yahoo here assigns him back to a homicide case 2 months after that bungling, where an assailant walked. How dare this sheriff? And then he's going to sit here and lie and say, oh my God, we've been working with the FBI. Where's the freaking FBI, Chris? Because all I see here is you and this dumbass that didn't even know that the blood on the outside of a door belonged to a missing lady. I'm so sick of this man lying. And he lies so convincingly. That's why I have to let you guys know why he got his scholarship to college. Because of acting and drama. Why is he able to lie so convincingly? Because he's been trained. His whole upbringing, his whole college education was acting.
In the background with me, answering questions with me, are the 2 FBI agents in charge of Tucson and Phoenix. So clearly that just didn't occur. And they have been a part of this. The Violent Task Force, the FBI Violent Task Force, has been around for decades. We've been a member for decades. We use
long
them
before
all
you
the
were
time.
ever a part of this
They were
department.
used that day. Not because the sheriff came and said, call the FBI, or don't call the FBI. It's because we have a protocol here that allows for our detectives to know what they need and know what the resources are available to them.
We also know that this man behind the scenes told his officers to arrest people against their rights, against their the civil rights and constitutional rights. He has no problem violating people's rights, and he has lynchmen in his department that are willing to carry out those unlawful orders. So if you're going to ask me, do I like this man? I do not like CHRIS Nanos. And I will be honest with you, if violence was not a crime, and I could go up and just pinch this man's head off, I probably would, because he's that dumb to me. I don't like bad cops. One thing you will find out from me, I do not like bad cops. I do not like corrupted cops. I do not like corrupted. I mean, I can deal with corruption in a lot of places. I don't like it. I can deal with it and I can fight against it. But one place I will not put up with it in at all. Not even one sniff is in the law enforcement aspect of our country. Because you get corrupted in there, innocent people are the ones that hold the highest burden of this. They're the ones that go to jail. They're the ones that do not have the money to challenge these lunatics that are running these communities. And so when it's one thing to have a corrupted county administrator or county supervisor or county board of county commissioners. It's a total another thing to have the sheriff being corrupted and being able to literally throw people in jail that disagree with you. This is a whole new level of disturbing conduct from a person with a badge. And for people to have to fight with the state attorney to hold this man accountable is disgusting. It's disgusting. And you know what? At this point, you guys need to fire your state attorney. In this community in Pima County, I don't care if they've served you for 20 years, they need to go. They're part of the problem. When you can have this man right here do all that he does and they're not even willing to entertain, even holding him accountable for lying under oath about beating and it wasn't even about that. It was about whether he had been suspended. This man has been suspended more times than not in his career, more times than most of his agents under him. He's been suspended. He's a bad cop. He's a bad cop, and he lied about it again. And he got caught. And not only did he lie about this, he lied about his law enforcement history, adding 2 years so it showed that he was not fired from. He's been lying about him being fired from El Paso Police Department for 40 years. He has lied about why he was let go from them for 40 years. Had he told the truth, he would have never been hired for Pima County and therefore would have never had an opportunity to ever become sheriff. He should never have been sheriff. He's bad and he's dirty. Exactly, Oakley. Exactly.
If I belong to a task force, and it didn't have to be the FBI, I have DEA, Homeland Security, Border, whatever it is, our counter-narcotics task force. All of those task forces are there for my team to utilize as they see fit. They make those calls. They know what they have available to them.
Yes, but when you hire people like this idiot that's over the homicide investigation team, that's never had homicide investigators, yes, you have people that have your back. But who is having the public's back? You're putting people in charge of departments they do not have the proper requisites to be running.
What about the criticism specific to the home surveillance video? There's talk out there now that Kash Patel and the FBI is saying that there could have been more footage available if things started differently.
Well, I'm again not sure where he's coming from there, because that
Liar,
when we shut down the investigation at the home, we had all of our team there, the forensics team, they removed all the, that's the other thing. Sheriff doesn't tell them, okay, you got so much time or you're out of here. They know what they're doing. They do this all the time. The forensics teams went in, gathered all their evidence. Now they come into the office, into the building, and they sit there with the FBI and say, can you guys take this evidence and we'll take this evidence. Day one, the forensics for video, the decision was, FBI, you guys are the experts here. You got better equipment and forensics analysis abilities there.
Lie detector test determined
we
you
took
are
the
a
DNA.
liar.
Oh, you kept the FBI lab from it. No, it's about sharing looking at all the work in front of you and parsing out the work.
The problem is when you guys keep thinking the lady's alive and refuse to get off your lazy asses and go look for the dead lady. Okay? She's gone. That means her body has to be somewhere. And I can promise you, CHRIS Nanos, the FBI task force and the detectives on the Pima County Sheriff's Department working this case, I can promise you, Miss Guthrie nor her assailant are in your offices. I can promise you. Neither Nancy Guthrie nor her assailant or assailants are in any of your offices, okay? They're out there in Pima County or in Arizona somewhere. So while you guys are all sitting around that round table in that nice air condition because you don't want to go out in the washes, you don't want to go out here, you don't want to go out there, guess what? All your information is going to be out there. So while you're sitting there talking about what you guys want to do, every single day that evidence is being deteriorated. That evidence is leaving. That evidence is being washed away. While you guys are sitting in your air-conditioned office, the ground game is diminished. The ground game that was supposed to help in this case. When you failed to even look for the missing lady, you failed to even produce one missing person flyer. You're telling us that she's abducted, she's missing, she's somewhere around the United States, but we have not one Pima County or FBI flyer for this lady to pass around. We've got nothing. We've got no press conference with her photo behind it. We got no press conference with the family. We got no joint press conference with the FBI telling us where we are in this case. We get a letter. A letter. Why? Because CHRIS NANOS doesn't do well with scripts. He doesn't know how to talk to people. He flies by the seat of his pants, and then he constantly has to walk back information that was never supposed to be let out or that he had inaccurate. Either way you look at it, it's abysmal failure. It's been abysmal failure since the beginning of this investigation, and it continues to be abysmal failure to this point. And we're nowhere closer to solving this case because they wasted a whole bunch of time on ransom notes that probably have nothing. Yeah, somebody may have authored them, but those people that authored them probably have no connection to this case whatsoever. And they still haven't been able to tell us where the hell that Apple Watch is. How long was it on the ground before they collected it? Was it a day? Was it 2 days? Did they go back into the house on the 4th when they put the crime scene tape and finally collected on that day? Is that when they collected it? Because they're not telling us a whole lot about this Apple Watch, but I have a funny feeling if they left the thing, they're going to probably sit there and say, oh, this watch doesn't have anything to do with this case. This is one thing that led to another. Maybe she knocked it off when she decided to wake up in the middle of the night and walk out of her house and disappear in the woods. Oh, that's right. There's no woods. There's a desert, but she still disappeared in the woods, according to the sheriff's department. She wandered off.
And our lab works very well with the FBI lab. I know that the FBI lab exists, and I know they're free in all of these things.
Yeah, okay.
But it wasn't about who had the better lab. It was about, we've got all this work to do. How do we parse it out?
No, see, he backtracked that because, remember, he just wanted it all in one lab. Well, he can't say that now because for the last month he's been saying, look at all these labs that are taking care of our case. Look at all these labs that are taking care of our case. But the reason why he sent everything to the lab in Florida instead of to Quantico is because he thought it was important to keep everything with one lab. One lab. One lab, one lab. That was his excuse then. It's so funny how this Yahoo forgets.
So to say the FBI, well, we didn't get this till... No, in fact, if you remember, that video was obtained from the home, sent out, FBI did some analysis, and they were able to get, again, more big brains, corporate America, Google, others to say, I think we can help you with this. And how gracious of them.
That's called a resource. Okay? He's acting like they're investigating it as a lead. See, he's very manipulative. What he gave them was an assignment for that. That is what they're good at. That is how they get that information. That came from the FBI, not CHRIS NANOS, and he knows that. But that doesn't mean they're leading the investigation or doing anything other than what he is telling them to do.
Didn't charge a penny. They took it and did that. But that takes a while. That took some while. I don't know what, you probably have better dates on it than I do. But I'm going to say at least a week in, we finally were able to get one of the videos that showed that man at the front door.
I think what they would have been able to do if CHRIS NANOS would have pulled him in and let them work the case sooner.
I don't think it was an hour, but maybe an hour. We put that out to the media immediately. Why? Why do you do that? Every case you do that.
Every case you do that. Well, where's the rest of it? If you put that stuff out immediately, well, we've had 6 months of gnawing on it and it hasn't helped us. Why don't you put out the other 2 videos? Why don't you put out the other 2 videos where we know that this assailant is associated with this case instead of these stupid ransom notes where we can't determine whether they're affiliated with the case or not? Why don't you show us the 2 videos of him preparing to go into the house on the 1st? Why don't you show us that, since that's what you guys do? You put those out immediately, we'll put them out. Why is he withholding those 2 videos?
Because somebody might know something.
I think those 2 videos might help somebody determine whether or not this person is somebody known to somebody or not. These ransom notes that we can't attribute to this person just yet mean absolutely nothing, but they're sitting on videos that show this man's behavior, show how he walks, show how he moves, things that would really help somebody identify who the assailant is, and they're withholding that but giving us the ransom notes. That's why I said the ransom notes have no more evidentiary value.
This is what we got. Here it is. Now, if we've got more, trust me, you'll get it. We'll put it out there. But right now, we
Amen.
Just, we continue to work it together. There's great collaboration. There is no, I think I've seen comments where the sheriff is not getting along with the FBI director. That's so silly.
But
First
it's true.
of all, Director Patel has a big job. If he needs me, he knows how to reach me. I'm sure of it. And if I
Kash Patel ain't reaching out to the likes of this man. You get a call from maybe Mark Kelly, okay? Your BFF, the one that's keeping your job in place. We know how corrupted Mark Kelly is. Anybody that votes for Mark Kelly, you guys are voting for corruption in Arizona. Mark Kelly's got to go. He's an idiot. I don't give a crap about his history. He's a fucking idiot.
I need him, I'm sure I could call him. I don't need to call him. What I need to know is that his team and my team are working close together, and they are.
No, they're
every
not.
day.
Maybe today, but not then.
Let me make sure it's a good one.
Sure, go ahead. I'll give you another one.
God, if I could spend all day with you talking questions. I know this is a broad question,
okay,
but we're going to try and put a number on it. How would you rate how you and your department has handled this investigation over the past 6 months?
Oh, I don't even go there. Why would I?
Don't, because that you're walking right into the lion's den. Because I'm going to tear that ass up. Let me hear it. Let me put a number on it, Chris. Put a number on it. You got the coffee club. Please, make our day. Make our day.
This isn't a 5-star rating thing. That's just silly. We don't do that. What we look at is what is in front of us. What are we doing with what we have in front of us? Is the work being done? Are we vested in what we're...
Is the work being done? Chris, the work is not being done. That has been the biggest complaint from everybody sitting on the sidelines, is the work is not being done. The investigation, the forensic investigation, the fact that foliage, a ripped off camera, a doormat, never tested, never dusted for prints. We've been saying, why? Why does it look like they didn't even bother touching the outside, and then we find out that this stupid frickin' detective didn't think that the blood on the outside of the door had anything to do with the missing lady? Like, this goes from just incompetence to furious, just anger. Like, I'm furious over this. This lady deserved so much better. She deserved so much better from the law enforcement. She deserves so much better. And it angers me that somebody can have all of these resources like Savannah and her family and her case still be tanked because of the leadership. Votes matter, folks. Votes matter.
For me, to my team, what do you need from me? Do you need more resources? Do you need more staff?
Here, let me help you, Chris. You know what we need from you? You know what we need from you? We need you to start telling us what's going on here and quit backtracking. What we need from you is to turn this case over to the FBI. What we need from you is a redo, but we can't get that. We can't get that because you've already fumbled the ball. You fumbled the ball so magnificently and constantly telling us that you're on top of it when we all see you are not. You are behind the 8 ball. You've been behind the 8 ball since the beginning of this case. We just want you to stop. What we want from you is a resignation. That's what we want from you. You want to know what your team, what the world wants, what America wants right now? America wants your name on a resignation. That's what America wants. That's what America wants. Now, we can't argue with Pima County because they had a bite at the apple to recall your ass. And why they didn't, I have no idea. But I can tell you what America wants, sir. America wants to see your ass retire. That's what America wants. America wants to see you step down. And America wants to see this case handed over to the FBI. If you want to know what your team, what your American team wants, those are what your American team wants. Your American team wants this case to be solved, and we're tired of covering this case that should have been solved weeks ago. We should have somebody behind bars or searching for, we should have a manhunt right now for a vehicle or a person. We don't. And we're nowhere closer to finding it. Why? Because you pissed away 6 months. Everybody in America is pissed off at CHRIS Nanos at this moment. And him constantly feeding us a bologna sandwich every time he opens his mouth is not helping.
Tell me what you need.
We need you to resign.
Rating it is just silly. It's almost like speculating on things. I don't speculate on things. My team does it. We get information.
Everybody speculates. If you're telling me that law enforcement isn't speculating on the facts that they're seeing, then they have no business wearing a uniform. Stop it. People keep trying to say we don't speculate. We don't like the public speculating. We don't like the public speculating. So they gotta say that they don't speculate. But anybody that's talked to a detective knows damn well they get a handful of facts. They start speculating on what those facts mean.
Whether it be a tip, DNA, forensic evidence, whatever, and we look at that and we let those items of evidence and facts
bologna pudding
lead
pop. There you
every
go.
investigation, not just this investigation. We're an agency that gets 200,000+ calls a year, and we work them all with great amount of care.
And can you imagine if he actually was a good leader and they had a good enforcement body? Can you imagine how much smoother all of this would be for those 200,000 calls? It'd be so much smoother. He makes things so much more difficult. How do we know that? Because he made this case so much more difficult. And if he's making this case so much more difficult, well, then that tells us the way he handles most of his cases. He's always got to be the smartest person in the room. He keeps trying to say, this is his team, this is his team. I don't think this is his team. Because why is there so much pushback with the FBI if it was just his team? So it's either his team that is his loyal team that likes to be his lynchman for anybody that goes against him, which is what we've been seeing in this department for quite some time. That I want everybody fired. Anybody that's been a supervisor under CHRIS Nanos, they're there because they can help this man, not because they were promoted to those positions on merit. And so therefore, every one of them, because they were lynchmen for this officer right here, this sheriff, Chris Puddin, right? Chris Puddin. They need to be fired. They need to be fired. Your loyalty are not going to get you anywhere. And this should be a lesson to everybody in that department moving forward. It's one thing to have respect for your sheriff, but it's a completely another thing to become his lynchman. And that is where you ruin your career moving forward, when you become that person. And we need to teach that across this country and fire people that act in that way.
Passion, but also due diligence, paying attention to your details, staying within the rules.
Pay attention to details? You mean like a doctor telling you that this lady has no medication and she is going to die in a couple of days if she doesn't get her medication, and we've never gotten her medication, but we still have a bozo saying that the lady is still alive when everybody knows there is not one possibility, not even a percentage, that this lady has survived this case. This lady could not have survived this case, statistically. Okay? Statistically, this lady could not have survived this. And he's still speaking as if she's alive when everybody, even us and her family, has acknowledged that her mom is dead, gone, never to come back again, never to walk this earth. Her last moments on this earth were spent in fear, probably praying to her Lord and Savior as she took her last breath. And we got this idiot up here adding insult to injury.
Talking amongst each other and asking those things. What do we need? Where do we go? What's next? How do we? And they're not, just as you just point out, you have a bunch of questions. My team asks a bunch of questions every day, not of the sheriff, but of each other. That's how investigations work all the time. Whether it's a burglary, a robbery, it's not one guy who sits there and goes, I think I'm going to solve this case all by myself. This is a team.
Except when it comes to CHRIS Nanos.
Effort. And it is, again, I can't stress enough. Why would any chief or sheriff say, yep, I don't think we're going to solve this case. Oh, yep, I think the victim's deceased. When you can't do that.
Yeah, you can, because it's called common sense. Every time everybody knows the statistics show that this lady is dead, and you've got an officer consistently stating that this lady is alive, it tells the public that they're disconnected with reality of the case. And it doesn't give the people, the public, the warm fuzzy feeling that they're looking in the right direction when they make statements like this. That's why. Because everybody knows this lady is deceased, that she could not have survived this attack. We all know that. We know. Like, we know. We know here, we know here, and we know here. She's dead. And we keep having the lead investigator saying, oh, well, we still think we're going to bring her back alive. That tells me this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And that scares me that he and his team are investigating a case when they can't see the forest for the trees. And this is where I start making things sound like, oh, he doesn't know whether to scratch his watch or wind his ass, right? That's why I make those statements. Because it's stupid. His statements are stupid. And he's trying to convince us that he is the lead and knows what's going on in this case, but he keeps saying that he believes this lady's alive. Clearly, he does not know what's going on in this case. Because the rest of us, the public out here, is looking at this man like, okay, so you're the one investigating this and you haven't figured out this lady is dead yet in 6 months? And you want us to respect you and act like you know what you're doing in this case when everybody knows this lady is dead but you? Yeah, I think we'll be the armchair detectives that we're so comfortable being. Thank you, but no thank you.
It's silly.
Very much silly.
We don't have any proof of her being dead.
Where's the proof of her being alive, Chris? Where's the proof of her being alive? Where's the proof of her being alive? She was breathing inside her home. We see a blood trail on the outside of her home. Prove to me that that wasn't enough to kill her. Prove to me that she was not in a tarp leaving that house dying. Prove to me that she's still alive. When you present this a-hole that question, prove to me that she's still alive, he would never be able to prove that she's still alive.
What we know is the facts we have from the scene that something violent occurred there, and we are looking into all of that.
Okay, so we have a frail little old lady and something violent happened at her house. And she has no medication to keep her heart pumping. But we're still going to take the stance that she's alive. Because we don't have a grave. So is that your approach to every case that is a homicide with a no body? You're just going to keep thinking that people are snatching them and this is still just a kidnapping versus a death? Is that how we're going to start treating? Is this how he treats every case? Or is he just going out of his way to slow this case down to have as much FaceTime on camera as possible throughout this entire case? Is he intentionally tanking this case so he can have FaceTime on camera? Somebody as narcissistic as this man here, I can't put it past him. I'm not going to say that that's what he's doing, but I couldn't put something like that past this guy. He's a drama queen, literally. He got a freaking scholarship to be a drama queen.
And we also know and believe truly somebody knows something.
Am I allowed to ask one quick follow-up question?
Sure.
The reason I ask that is because I do want to address that some of the criticism has not just come from the FBI, but it's come from the public on social media and people just sharing their opinions as well. So what's your message to them about that?
It's a shame. First of all, I value everybody's opinion. I hear it all. I got it. Sometimes you got to be a duck, right?
We
Let
believe
that stuff
that.
roll off. Because there's a lot of white noise. A lot of those commentaries.
Why does it got to be white noise? Why can't it be black noise? I'm just asking the question. Do you not like do you not like white noise over black noise? What's the difference, CHRIS Nanos? Why can't it just be noise? Why does it got to be colored? Why can't it be red noise or orange noise or yellow noise or Betty noise? Why does it have to be white noise? I'm just asking the question.
I could tell you the sky is blue and they're just because they just don't like CHRIS Nanos, and that's okay.
We do not like you.
But I can't let that be some sort.
That is the most truth that CHRIS Nanos has said in this whole entire interview. That there are people that don't like him. No matter what he says, there are just going to be people that don't like him. I can't treat her as she's alive. I can't. She had too many ailments, and I can't. This is my problem. This is why I don't treat people as alive when I know they're gone. Because when people, the reason why I do this, and this is just a me thing, this is not a you thing, I can't change how you look at things, just a me thing. But just to explain it, just so you understand me just a little bit better. Who was that? That was from Todd. I can't because I'm a searcher. I go out there and search. I don't search for, I'm not one of those search and rescue people. I don't look for microscopic, evidence. I'm looking for human beings. I'm looking for large objects. So I go out there and I search. But I search in different places for people that are alive than I do for people that are dead. So I think it is a disservice. And not only that, but I find it disrespectful too, as well. The reason why when I know somebody is deceased, I refer to them as deceased. One, because it changes the places you look. You're going to be looking for somebody that you believe is alive. You're going to be searching in totally different places than for somebody that you perceive as deceased. So it changes where you're looking. So if you're not assessing the case correctly, you're going to be looking in all the wrong places. You're going to be wasting your time. Another reason why I don't classify somebody as alive when I truly believe that they're deceased is also because I feel like it's insulting. It's insulting to the people that know that they're gone. And I would be more respectful if the family members truly believe that their loved one is alive, then would probably adopt more of the alive approach to that. But when the family believes that they're deceased, the public believes that they're deceased, I feel like every time that you rub it into somebody's face that you believe that person's alive, I believe it's disrespectful. I believe that it is like pouring salt into an open wound, especially when the family has acknowledged. And the bottom line is the family would be more, I search for the missing after cops give up. I know what you're saying. Yeah. So but then you'd understand if you believe somebody's alive, you're going to be looking in a lot of different places than you would be searching for the person if they're dead, right? If you truly believe they're alive. So I think that I always want to have the hope, right? But you have to have the level of honesty too, because there are truly people out there searching for this lady. And if we have people believing she's alive, then all of that effort is wasted on looking for places that she'd be alive at versus working on all the places that she'd be deceased at. So it's a classification. It's not to say that she is definitively deceased or not, but if there is, in this case, we have so much information to lead us to believe that this lady is deceased. One, her ailments, right? She can't survive without medication. And law enforcement has confirmed that she did not have any medication with her. So anything short of her going to Mexico and getting the much needed medication she needs, and again, that's a pipe dream, okay? The chances of somebody getting her to Mexico to pump her with her heart medication, why didn't they just take the bottle with them? They were there at the house for over an hour. you know? So the motivation clearly from the person that was there was not to keep her healthy. Otherwise, they would have taken her medication and other things with her to keep her comfortable, including clothes and shoes. I mean, they were there for an hour. That was plenty of time to get her toothbrush, to get her contacts, to get her hearing aids, to get her, you know, all the stuff that she needs to be comfortable in a specific spot, you know, for several days while they hold her there to get this ransom note. So you're looking at all of these things, and you know that is not accurate. You know that people that have the type of condition she has without that medication, what happens is their blood gets clumpy, and when their blood gets clumpy, it creates aneurysm type, the clots. Okay, and those clots end up bursting, and you bleed out. So without the medication, it's going to cause her blood to coagulate inside of her veins. So you got to look at you got to understand what her condition is, and understand what that condition is going to do without the medication, the thinning of that blood to pump. It's going to start turning into motor oil, and it's going to clump up. So even if she did survive past 1 or 2 days, which I don't even believe, I believe she expired within 12 hours of leaving that home, based on her condition. You know, I just don't know. And, you know, the fact that she was on blood thinners and she clearly was bleeding when she left the house, that's not a good sign either, because that blood thinner thins your blood out so much. It's like water when you're gashed, especially if it gets close to a vein or something like that. You got a lot of blood coming out of you very quickly. Even some minor injuries can be very life-threatening depending on how much blood thinner you're on. So there's just a lot of different angles that clots will form in her pacemaker, on her pacemaker too. Yeah, so you got to understand the condition she has and the medication she's on and why she's on that medication. And when you remove that medication and understand what it does to the body and the blood, then you can kind of follow that condition through. How much could she really live with this stuff going on in her blood? And it's not, there's no path forward here. No matter how you run the scenario, without that medication, without that blood thinner, without something to help her live, she's not going to live. And that's the reality of it. And, you know, she hasn't been seen or heard from. There's no money missing out of her bank accounts. Her car, her phone, everything's there. Nobody's heard anything from anybody. I'm sorry. There's in my estimation, there is 0% of survival at this point. You know, even in the abductions, the stranger danger abductions, we still have a low percentage of survival. This has no percentage of survival. For him to constantly be saying that this lady is still alive and he's having this hope for the family, if I was the family, I would find it very highly disrespectful. Especially when the daughter is saying, we just want our mom back so we can bury her. And you got this Yahoo coming up right behind her saying, well, we still believe she's alive. What? I mean, it's just, to me, it seems to be, it's just disrespectful to me. It's just my opinion. You know,
sort of distraction in this case. That's just silly.
People may have different opinions, and I respect your opinion, but that's just mine.
Everybody they're frustrated like some of my team is, some of the media. What has happened? What's going on? We started this conversation. Where are we at with this investigation? I know to you and the public, well, there's nothing new here. They're not doing anything. But that is so far from the truth. We just know so much more than what you know and what the public knows. And it's
I
not
agree with
because
that. I agree with that.
Keep it a secret and there's a cover up, and I hear all that too.
I agree they know more than we, but they also know this lady's dead. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say, is he's trying to be politically correct. We're sick of political correctness in this country. Okay? At the end of the day, they're investigating this case as if this lady is deceased. This whole thing about her being alive and somehow this is giving us hope, it's doing nothing but pissing us off with this Yahoo here, okay? So are they investigating? I believe they're investigating this case as if this lady is dead, okay? So vocalizing that is not making this guy look like it's making him look worse talking like this, in my opinion. Just in my opinion.
The sheriff did it. He's involved. Okay. What we go by is simply this. There are reasons why investigations are kept somewhat secret, if you will. I don't have the right word for it, but it really
Close
is
to the
about
chest.
the integrity of that case.
They do what they do. This is how they manipulate you. Once upon a time, they gave a lot of information out, okay? And then they had one case, because it's always just one case. It's never multiple cases. Our government makes knee-jerk reactions, right? And that's what annoys us with our government. So we had probably one case where somebody said that they killed somebody and they used some of the information that was released. So now they manipulate the world and say, oh, because we had this one case 40 years ago where somebody acted like they killed this person and they had the details because we said the details and we couldn't tell that they weren't the guy, we have to now keep this stuff close to it's all manipulative because they want to be able to be the one that solves the case. They don't want anybody monkeying with the case, because when the public solves these cases for them, then they got to deal with the contamination, then they got to deal with the embarrassment, then they got to deal with the people asking, why didn't you find him? You searched this place 5 times. Why couldn't you see it? Why didn't you find him? Blah, 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 blah. So it's all manipulative. It's all manipulative. I truly, truly, truly believe it. Does it have some investigative purposes? Yes, it does. I do believe that as well. But the majority of what they tell us is because they just don't want us getting ahead of them. That is the reality of it. That's the only reason. They don't want the public getting ahead of them. That's why they do it. It has nothing to do, it might have a little bit to do with somebody, but we don't, not in every case do we have somebody saying, I did it, right? We have a few cases where some people go up and wrongly accuse themselves of committing a crime that they did not commit because they're mentally disabled. So we do have situations like that. But not every case, yet they do this in every single case. It's an excuse to keep the public out, and any excuse that they can find that is a reasonable excuse that we will accept, they will use it to keep us out. Does this help the cases? You know what? So far, 100% of the time, I haven't seen how any of this holding to the chest has ever helped any case. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen where it's helped. I haven't seen where it's hurt. Okay? I haven't seen this. So that's why I believe that it's manipulation. I've watched law enforcement work with cameras on them, and I've seen them not work with cameras on them. So at the end of the day, it really is what it is. If they believe that them holding this to this chest is going to help solve this case quicker, which nobody ever thought that, whatever. It has nothing to do with solving the case. It has everything to do with making sure they're the ones that solve the case. That's it. And if you don't believe me, prove me wrong. Send me your stuff. I know I got cops that watch and first responders in here, whether retired or not. Sometimes you agree with me. Sometimes you call me a bonehead, like I call this guy a bonehead. So if I'm a bonehead, then prove me I'm a bonehead. So I can come out here and say, I'm a bonehead. Here's the receipts that I'm a bonehead. I know there's a lot of people that would love me to come out here and say I'm a bonehead. I'd own it. Somebody can prove that I'm a bonehead. I'll own it. Sometimes I'm probably
And the best example I can give you is
But until you can prove it, I'm not owning it.
If we're working a homicide, and the homicide is somebody's been stabbed a bunch of times.
Yeah, it is turned
and we
political.
don't tell anybody that.
I believe it.
We're just working a homicide. But we later on get somebody and they say, yeah, no, my buddy, he shot him 6 times. We know stuff that the only person who knows is the person who was there. That guy was never shot 6 times. So we now can say that guy's discredited.
You could have done it other ways. This is the manipulation tactic that they tell you that this is why they have to hold this stuff to the chest. Is there other ways? Of course there is. But this is the easiest way to keep you out of their investigation.
So I don't know if that's a great analogy for you, but it is about, we owe it to not just the victim,
manipulation,
but to any suspect.
See how they use, you see how they use emotion? They use emotion to keep you from asking questions. They use emotion and guilt to keep you from asking questions. I just want you guys to understand this. Did Nancy know about the Medicare fraud of billions of dollars, illegal invaders, demonstrators, unmarked graves, raping, murdering Native women. I know that was crazy. I saw that. And it wasn't just Brian Enton that exposed it, because to be honest with you, I heard these stories about a month ago before they ever even came up. But it's not my, we've done very limited political investigative reports on this channel. One was Eagle Pass, where Olivia and I went out to Eagle Pass to cover the invasion. Actually, at this time, it was really to cover the non-invasion, because this is right when the governor out there had put up the wire to prevent people from crossing the border in Texas at Eagle Pass, and it just, everything just changed overnight. It went from the roads being flooded with all these immigrants to them being clear. So we felt it was safer for, a bunch of girls to go to the Eagle Pass area at that point. So we were covering the case. But as soon as we landed in Texas, we get a notification that a little girl is missing. And that was our Audrey Cunningham case. And that Cunningham case was very, very hard on us. But it took a lot of our time, and it took a lot away from our Eagle Pass trip. But we still made it. We also went out to Savannah, Savannah and Matt Guerra, Soto, the guy that shot them both in the head. We went to his house. Actually, it's part of our intro video in front of the murderer's house. We were out there in San Antonio and went by there. So we did a lot of different cases while we were in Texas, but Audrey Cunningham was really an interesting case. It was a very sad case, and I feel so bad for her mother still to this day. Her mom really weighs on my heart.
Case on the guardrails, protecting it from any kind of bias that might exist, protecting it from coulda, woulda, shoulda versus actual facts. And that's where we're at. I get it. People are everybody has opinions. They're entitled to it. I have no problems with that. I wish they'd be nicer sometimes, but it is what it is.
I'm Bullhorn Betty. I'm sorry. I'm only nice to people that do great jobs, right? I know that a lot of great people around my community love me, but they also do great jobs. I know that there's a lot of people around my community that can't stand me, and it's most likely because I'm coming after their job, because they're doing a terrible job. So, I'm talked about. You guys have seen me get dragged through the mud, whether true or untrue, for 5 years. It took me suing a lot of people to finally get my life back on these platforms. But now they all know that I'm willing to step into the arena to fight them should they come after me again, and I will continue to do so. And I think everybody on this platform needs to fight back, because these hate channels, the stuff that Ted, I just want to say this, that's the stuff that Ted has gone through, nobody should go through. But I do want to put this caveat, and if Ted is out there, Ted, I just want to tell you, we care about your health and well-being, and sometimes these platforms are not very good for people that have some issues going on with them. My suggestion, whether you're going to take it or not, is get your stuff at home, taken care of first, and then maybe wander back out on these streets, or stay off these streets and just be a spectator for it, because being involved, it's very hard. I can tell you, some of these people push you over the edge. I know that if it wasn't for, everybody keeps trying to tell me that I'm this or I'm that, but I tell you what, I've went through hell and back. There's been some very, very low times for me behind these scenes with some of the stuff that I was going through. Don't ever think just because I came here, like I said, I survived purely out of spite. But there was days that I came on here, had my makeup, put on a smile when I was literally dying inside. And it was a very painful, only my mods knew what I was going through on these streets, only my mods. And had it not been for my mods and the graciousness of them, I don't know if I would have survived. God knows, I might have turned into a Perez Hilton for all we know. I'm just saying, not playing. It was getting pretty dark. It was getting kind of Harry Carey over here. I'm just saying, it was pretty stinking intense. It was intense. You know what stopped me from going over the edge? What stopped me from going over the edge was hunting these assholes down and suing the shit out of them. making them pay for everything that they put me through. And I'm still hunting. Do not ever think my hunting has stopped. As soon as I find out some of the names of these people, I will come after you. Make no mistake, if you're within that 2 years, I'm coming for your ass. Give me a reason, please. Please give me a reason. One reason. Step 1 toe. Boo-boo. One blessed toe. I swear before God, one blessed toe. So what I gotta say to Ted is keep your head up, keep going through, but maybe if it's like this for you, then it's time for you to hang up the YT. It's time for you to hang up the YT. It's time for it to be a spectator sport, at least for a while you get grounded. Okay? Because you got to be grounded on these streets. And I will tell anybody else that's coming out here, these hate channels are nothing. The first opportunity I have to get these people arrested, the first opportunity, and trust me, I've been working behind the scenes for 5 years for changes in our laws so we can start going after some of these animals on these streets. And we're moving the needle. Every year, federal law is getting stricter, state laws getting tighter. Every single year, we're pushing for things to be tougher and starting to hold people. And it's just baby steps. It's baby steps. And I told you when I came on these streets and started dealing with all this shit, it was going to take me 5 to 10 years to clean this stuff up. And little by slow, I have been passionate about that cause. And whether you guys see me doing work out here in the public or not, believe me, the work never stops behind these scenes. And you guys know I work nonstop in this home. Nonstop, day in and day out. I will be successful. There are a few things that I will take nothing but success on, and getting these people from doing this stuff to other people on these streets is one of those motivations. Now, I also want to remind you, this lady is in Australia. They have very strict laws. People in Australia, people overseas, we can get a hold of your government, and we will, and there will be hell to pay. Because your government is not the United States of America, and they will come after you, they'll take your channel, and they'll throw your asses in jail. So if you guys want to keep playing games, there's definitely a lot of prizes to be had. And that means worldwide. Trust me, when you deal with Bullhorn Betty or other people like out on these streets like JLR, don't think that man will not reach across the pond and smack somebody. Okay? You might think he's a nice guy in front of your face, but you have no idea what JLR is capable of doing behind the scenes. He's capable of doing a lot of damage. Don't ever fuck with that man. And if you're a friend of his, and something like this happens, I would be scared. I would be very scared. And that's no joke. He's a nice guy in your face, but you do not want to be his enemy. So you can FA and FO. I'm just saying, you know. There's a lot of things that I have disrespect for certain people, but there are some things that I will tell you that are you know, they're double-edged swords, you know. And Jonathan has you know, he's Jonathan. And it's just, you got to understand, Ted is one of his friends. I wouldn't. That's all I got to say to you. I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. There's some things I've learned a long time ago, and I've learned what battles to fight and what battles not to fight. Okay? Jonathan and his friends, there are people I wouldn't step on. And you hurt one of his friends, you made one of his friends, in his mind, you made one of his friends do this. You just stepped into some shit you will never, ever, ever to relieve yourself from, except just making yourself extinct. You have tagged yourself to the point that you probably will be going to a mental house by the time JLR is done with you. So I just wouldn't. People need to understand what they're stepping in. And when you have content creators on these platforms that have been here for a while, you got to understand we have to have thick skin and we have to know how to go to the mattress. Because in order for our survival on these platforms, we have to rise above all the crap that's out here. And you ain't doing that being a nice guy. I will tell you that. I was a nice guy. It didn't work. It didn't work. Now I'm ruthless. Like, you can step on my toes if you want, but I clap back. And so does a lot of other people. So I'd be careful. But with Ted, I hope he gets better. I hope, you know, he seems like a fun guy. But clearly with all that happiness, you know, it reminds me of Robin Williams. You know how he was always happy out in the public, but there were some things going on in his personal world we didn't know about. That's kind of what I see now when I see Ted. So Ted, I hope you get better. I hope you work through whatever pushed you over the edge, and I hope you know that you're more important than any bad word or bad thing that anybody's doing. But sending pizzas to this man's house in the middle of the night with his kid, you don't want to know what I'd like to do to you as another content creator. You don't want to know, neither does my audience. My audience doesn't want to know how I feel about certain things, because the way I look at that is I look at you injuring a child, an innocent child. And the one thing I cannot stand is somebody hurting innocent children. So I'm glad they found out who was causing all these problems, but all I can say to you, lady, is you stepped into a whole bunch of nonsense that you will never get out of. And Jonathan, I can tell you, I don't care if you're in Australia or not, Jonathan's coming after you, and he's not going to stop until you're in jail. So good luck. That's what I have to say. Good luck. Anyways, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. God bless each and every one of you, and we will see you later this afternoon. Today's day goes. So we're going to be on all day long. So stick around. If you haven't subbed up to the Bullhorn Betty channel, please consider subbing up and turning that bell to all. If you made it this far in the replay crew, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. We try to bring you guys the most accurate information as possible. And like I said, you know, I love people tuning in, but I'm not here for the clicks and the views. We're here for the information. If the information is what you would like, we appreciate your viewership. But what we don't want to do is spread around misinformation. And I know that there's a lot of people talking about this birth certificate of Miss Guthrie's. I can promise you it is not hers. Okay? So believe what you want to, but just remember my words. When you find out it's not true, don't be feeling shocked because you heard it here first. It's not, there's no possibility of Miss Guthrie, Savannah Guthrie's mother, having a death certificate at this juncture. No possibility. So I just want to assure everybody out there, it is not hers. So God bless you guys. We'll see you on the next live. But let us know. Keep filling us in through emails. Let us know, bullhornbetty@gmail.com, how you guys like these channels and your perspective on these channels. Some of your perspectives you hear me talking about during our shows. And it's because of those emails that you guys send me that I'm able to incorporate your perspective into these shows. So keep sending those to me, and we definitely appreciate you. We will see you later this afternoon. God bless each and every one of you. Enjoy your church service.